September 3rd, 2025. Introductions from the board.
Lisa LaRue, planning member.
Vince Messer, board member.
John DeLeo, Chair.
Rick Lyles, Vice Chair.
Mike Hangy, board member.
Mark LeBain, alternate.
Staff introductions.
Brittany Merrill, city planner.
Robert Grant, Code Enforcement Officer.
Thomas Canavan, Fire Inspector.
Andrew Lardlow, Deputy Code Enforcement.
Sarah Devlin, Deputy City Manager.
Okay.
A lot of deputies.
Item number 2, preliminary plan review of a major use site development entitled Ellsworth Tractor and Equipment for applicant owner Michael Saucier. Proposal to construct a commercial tractor and power equipment sales and service facility. The subject property is approximately 10-acre lot located at 500 High Street, tax map 11, lot 7 in the commercial zoning district. Is anybody here representing Ellsworth Tractor and Equipment?
Matt Williams, Dustin Group.
Who?
Brian Foster with Ellsworth Tractor and Equipment, or Thompson Tractor and Equipment.
Mark Associate, Tractor, Ellsworth Tractor Equipment.
What was your name again?
Mike Associate.
Okay. Okay, are you leading the charge, Matt?
Yep.
Okay, one question before you start.
Sure.
And there was some discussion with, I think, Brittany and yourself about, this is scheduled for preliminary.
Yep.
Is it sufficient to go preliminary? I mean, you can go to preliminary, there is a risk of us not approving it as preliminary.
Yep.
Or do you want to do it as a sketch? I mean, either one is different, I mean, if,
I would like to have a discussion about presenting as preliminary, and then the board can decide if my argument's good enough.
okay, I mean, there is a possibility that it could come back for another preliminary.
Yeah, I mean,
So this is a sketchy preliminary, is that what this is?
so we'll present as preliminary.
Preliminary.
We have to come
What's
back.
that, Matt?
We'll present as preliminary, and then if
Okay.
we have to come back, we'll come back again.
Okay, go for it.
So yes, this is a construction of a tractor sale, and that's a small portion, but it's also a retail supply store off of Route 3, just south of Martin's Shopping Plaza. The building itself is around 12,000 square feet. Just get to that site plan. And so currently there's a gravel pad on the site. The applicants are working with DEP to, well, you can see on the existing the grading plan that there is a wetland delineation done. But working with DEP to figure out, how much more wetland can be filled and where the best place for the site has been. And that's the location that's presented now, further north on the lot. The development will run off of well water, and then also have a septic leach field, which is in the northeastern portion of the lot, besides there. And again, it's mostly going to be sales of actual tractors with a small retail component. So there's a gravel pad at the entrance off to the side that will be a showing area, a showcasing area for the tractors. There are light poles that are all 25 feet tall. There is downward sconce lighting, and there's a lighting plan at the back of their plan sheets that shows the foot candles for the plan. And then there's some landscaping also shown, and then detail for that along the Route 3 side, and then also as you come in along the driveway and the showcase area. And then, we expect there to be about 6 employees here. So using the automotive sales use, calculated that it would need about 12 parking spaces, but 14 are provided with 1 ADA.
Maybe before we get to questions, maybe you can address, probably get a copy of Brittany's checklist.
Yep.
And a lot of comments, a lot of need on site plan.
Yep. So, I can walk through, most of the information is in the packet somewhere, and then if it's not, what the applicant's currently undergoing to get that information for the board. And then, if the board prefers it all in one site plan, we can provide that for final, but most of the information is within the packet materials on the record. Just to start at the top, the 3 letters, they've all been requested from the state agencies. I've received word back from the Natural Areas Program, that I'm still waiting for Inland Fisheries and Wildlife and Historic Preservation. As mentioned, there's a larger lighting plan. I know in the original submission, there was like a 8.5 by 11 size, but now there's a full 24 by 36 size lighting plan. In your packets, it's sheet L1 at the very back. For traffic count narrative, as discussed in the narrative packet, there's a similar use that's been going through the planning board process currently. So the applicant is currently undergoing traffic counts at an existing location that's the same size in Topsom to figure out the traffic counts for that site and provide actual counts for the use, since the board determined there wasn't quite an accurate use in the ITE manual. For stormwater calcs, so the stormwater plan, well, the infrastructure is on the site plan with the culvert, and then you can see the existing grading where the proposed grading where the water will flow. We're still in discussions with DEP on the approval of that plan. So far, there have been some light notes, but nothing overall should change, but we can provide the stormwater calcs that go with this plan that DEP is approving for final as well. 911 addressing this for final, just talk to Larry to get the address for final. Signature block, I know there's no lines, so there will be an official signature block on final that is not currently in the information. The name of the address of the owner of record is on the cover sheet. The name, address, and registration /number/seal of the designer. The name and seal number or registration number are in the application. His seals are not yet on the plans. He's still reviewing them, but he's pretty confident so far, and we'll have them stamped for final. The vicinity map inset is also on the cover page, and there's also an additional one in the narrative packet. And then the bearings and distance and monuments are all on the survey. So we just didn't transfer them onto the actual site plan, but they're on the professionally performed survey, which is sealed and stamped. The topography, again, it's on the, not on the site plan itself, which we can add that to the site plan for final, but it's all in C1 and C3, which are the existing conditions, and then the proposed grading plans. Same with the natural wetlands, it's on the proposed grading plan with the wetland delineation. And then tax map and lot are also on the cover page. The direction of existing surface drainage, it's kind of on the survey where it shows the way the water flows with the blue arrows there, but again, we can add that to the existing grading plan, but the proposed surface drainage is shown on the proposed drainage plan. Site distances, we do have that. There is a note in the DOT permit for site distance that mentions that the applicant will have to cut back some trees, but it'll be 500 feet in both directions, right and left. And in that 35-mile-per-hour zone, the city requires 350 feet of site distance, and that will get added to the narrative. And then we do have a calculation for the parking spaces that I had discussed, but we can put like 1, 2, 3, 4 and label them all for final, just to show that total count. There really aren't any loading areas specifically for loading, so the truck will make deliveries pretty early in the morning or late at night when there's not a ton of traffic and the shop's not open, so there won't be customers parked there. So they'll kind of turn around, and there will be a turning template for final to pull into the spaces and then back up along the southern side of the property where they'll get unloaded. And then utilities are on the site plan, it's on C2, just a separate utility plan, so it's pretty light on utilities. And then the tabular form for acres, square foot of all buildings, that sort of thing, that information is on the site plan, but we can transition it to the table to all be in one table form. The Knox box locations, that may have been missed on my part during the TRT. I did check the application boxes that I remembered or took notes on that fire department had requested. But we can put in the narrative where the Knox box will be located too. Floor drains, there actually is no longer going to be a floor drain on the site, and then, I don't know if that would have gone on the site plan, it was just staying on site. It's not going into like a city system or anything, but now the floor will just be graded for the water to flow out the bay area. And then the hand wash stations, and I don't think they were really meant to go on the site plan, but it was a note from the code officer that OSHA may require them, and so the applicant has noted that for their business.
Before we get to questions, but for the next meeting, whether it be for preliminary or final, we have this in a binder, please?
Yes.
Maybe tabs to
Yep,
get us to the right section.
for sure. I'll be a
Oh,
little
you
more
didn't like
prepared
this?
next time.
I think I might have mentioned it to another developer. I'll open it up to questions.
If there was more stuff, I'd have more questions. From the traffic perspective, I mean, it's kind of like you're going in the right direction, and that's about all I can say. You know, and I like the idea that you're collecting data at your existing use. I mean, I think that's a smart plan, okay? At the same time, it is useful to look at the ITE stuff just as a point to start the conversation, so you need to do that. And I like the idea that, you know, your deliveries are gonna come at 3 or 4 AM in the morning. And, you know, I think that while that's a good idea, and I, you know, kinda like it, still I'd like to know what's going on in the street at that hour in the morning, and what does, you know, how does the ITE stuff, look at the peak hour and so forth versus whatever you have here. What,
Rick-
sorry?
No. I'd just like to add to that, how do we know that those morning and late evening hours are?
I was gonna get to that.
Okay, I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. You know, so the thing is that is really a departure from, you know, other folks and so forth and the way it normally operates. So it would be good if you would have some sort of, you know, statement that that's in fact gonna happen, you know, from typical suppliers or whatever. that they-
Typical process.
What's that?
It's a typical process, but understandable to add more detail to that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so those, you know, so the thing is that those things are really missing at this point. Not saying that you can't get them, not saying that you're not telling the truth or anything like that, but it needs to be there and written down and so forth. The other thing, at that hour of the morning, there shouldn't be any queuing back from that light. But you need to make the case that that is the case. Because that's where, you know, that's one of the things that breaks down on that stretch of roadway is the queuing from, that's on the, kind of the outbound side of the road, okay, going north, I guess. You know, it queues back from that light. Now, at 3 o'clock in the morning, probably not so much, but you have to make the case that that's really gonna be the case, okay?
Can I just ask, for the ITE counts, what use would you like us to refer to?
I'm sorry?
For the ITE counts, what similar use would you like us to?
Oh,
refer to?
there are a couple of, I don't know the code number offhand, okay? But there are a couple that talk about like tractor supply or whatever.
So, yeah, just find one that.
Yeah,
It's kind of
whatever's
close.
closest.
Okay.
right.
Yeah, and
And honestly, I mean, I don't think that's gonna be a big issue, but
Yeah.
you need to, we need to
Yeah.
have the documentation.
Yeah, and we did an evaluation with the DOT permit specialists. They ran it through their traffic engineers and actually have reached out a couple times to find out what use they compared it to because they were,
Okay.
you know, but we just, you know, in order to grant the permit, we used obviously the information for employees and, you know, customers per day.
Good.
That are in the application.
Yeah.
However, what they reference for a use, we haven't been able to get back from them.
Yeah,
But
maybe one.
Haven't been able to get back from them in their review. I think some people have left and we just haven't been able to get.
Okay.
But we certainly can do that. In addition to the traffic counts we have, and our engineer now is implementing some additional ITE reference, so we would definitely have that.
Like I
with
say, it
final.
sounds like you're going in the right direction
Yeah.
and looking at the right stuff, both the stuff that's actually in ITE
Yeah.
or fresh counts, which I actually always like better than ITE.
Yeah.
But, you know, we just need to have it.
Yep.
I mean, you may ask the folks from Union Farm what ITE,
Well, that threw a little
Classification
bit of
was
a
it?
curve, that threw a little bit of a curve because there was some documentation that what they used and it got questioned. And then this was sort of, you know, a pivot for us somewhat to go that approach, which seems to be reasonable.
And they've gone back and done some counts.
Yes.
At their own site, similar to what you're doing.
Similar to us, we
Which is,
have-
yay for them too, right?
Yeah,
So,
so it will give us, I mean, this is it's almost an identical store.
It sounds like.
In Topsom, same size, same.
What actually happens in the building? This is just a,
The back section of it is just assembly, maintenance, you know, putting together and working on tractors, equipment. And then
like a service thing or just for sales?
for service.
Okay.
We do a lot of road service as well, but that there is assembly of tractors, we order a lot of them, they come needing to be assembled, so we do a lot of the assembly back
And
there.
how big are the units in the trailer trucks and so forth that deliver them? I mean, when I ask that,
Yeah,
that's
just
kind of
the
rhetorical.
general size of a
I really
truck.
don't want you to give me a number, okay? But what I
Yeah.
want you to do is basically show that the way the driveway goes in there
Yeah.
is adequate for the size of
For the
trucks. you're
size of
gonna
the
be
truck,
using,
yeah.
right?
Yeah, we'll do
A turning template.
we'll do a turning template for that. I mean, we've worked on it, we pulled in, just due to some of the DEP requirements and where that's sort of been hung up, pulling in our engineers sort of came a little bit, we had to transition, so some of those things we just weren't able to get in this application, but they're happening
Good,
with our engineer, yes,
and we'll see the results of that inquiry,
Absolutely.
no doubt.
yeah.
Cool. That's about it.
That's disappointing.
Well,
So
I got
have-
waylaid by,
And
couple
going back to the plans where everything was not, we went through the approval process in Topsom, we went through the approval process in Manchester with our stores, and, understandably, everybody's ordinance is a little bit different, but in early preliminary, we read that the base plan was not necessarily, the way I read it anyways, wasn't necessarily that the base plan was one plan with everything on it. A base plan was more a set of plans, as long as it was within that, so, I mean, Matt did at the 11th hour sort of indicate that a lot of that needed to go on one plan, but we just
Yeah.
didn't
The other
have
thing is
time to
if-
get it on.
if-
That wasn't
if-
our understanding, so.
I'm sorry. If you have gone through this for other sites, okay, and you've collected any kind of data or done analysis for
Yeah.
that, I mean, that's valid stuff to refer to when you look at this. You say, gee, here's how we did this, here was
Yeah.
here are the actual vehicle counts or approximation or whatever. I mean, that's,
No, we did
that's
have-
perfectly okay.
Yeah, we did have to do that for the Manchester store.
Well, bring it,
But yeah, yep,
incorporate it to the extent that you can.
yep.
But, I think you know what the issues are along that road. And, it's a road that's, pretty well screwed up. And at the same time, if you really do have your primary traffic is early or late, depending,
Yeah, the truck deliveries are essentially
that certainly works in your favor.
designed to come at night, so they're there in the morning when crews arrive to unload them.
Yeah.
And then when they leave, it's in the morning and they're always exiting,
Taking a right.
taking a right to Ellsworth.
But anyways, I read this and I stopped because I didn't think that we would be, no offense,
Yeah.
approving it as it were, so it was like I didn't feel the need to look at it, the rest of it.
Mike?
So, looking at and I'm going off the TRT record that was done, I'm concerned about a lot of the narrative in here of missing items. And knowing that this is a preliminary and basically the approval is based upon the items of the ordinance that are required for a preliminary. And if they're not there, I'm not sure whether we can approve a preliminary, knowing that there are several missing items and several items that have noted that it's either needed on a plan or et cetera, et cetera. So I don't know where to go with this. The fact that items are missing, that we can approve something for preliminary when you got items that are missing.
I understand that, and that part of it's really a whole nother discussion when we get to the end.
Okay.
We have a motion, but I mean, if you have specific questions to ask them at this point,
Okay, all right. I just, that was just a concern. So, I had a question for Tom Canavan. In the narrative, it says that you submitted a letter to them. It
No,
says there's a
shouldn't
letter
say
from the
that.
Ellsworth Fire Department stating the applicant has met with the fire department. You submitted a letter to the applicant yet?
No, that hasn't happened yet. That shouldn't be in the narrative.
But this says that there has been one that's been submitted.
That's my mistake. I meant to
Okay.
remove that.
So, okay, leave it at that. The other question that I have on this is that it looks like there was an added paragraph to this. item 5. It says that the building and fire areas of 11,600 square feet do not include the porch areas and also do not include the thickness of the exterior walls of the building. The IBC 903 states that fire areas greater than 12,000 square feet shall be equipped with a sprinkler system. If the authority having jurisdiction determines that the porch area shall be included in the fire area, the architect of record noted below shall be notified for a full project redesign. So the question I have for the applicant, when we say porch, is this, we know that it's probably a covered porch, does it have a floor, combustible floor, or is it concrete?
It's just paved. It's just,
Okay.
yeah.
So in this area, are you displaying equipment underneath this awning or underneath this covering?
No.
Tractors, lawn equipment, et cetera, or is it just going to be seating area?
Just seating. Seating, and we do put some of our customers' equipment underneath.
So you will have equipment
We
underneath
will have-
there?
We have a few pieces.
Okay,
It won't be tractors or anything like that. Might be a lawnmower, it might be a snow blower, but that would be basically it.
okay. So what is your determination as far as the porch area?
I'm still looking into that.
Okay. And if I may make my concern to you, the fact that there is equipment there that possibly has fuel, the potential for fire underneath that porch will impact the building. Therefore, you know, that would be a major consideration. I'm glad you're looking into that. That's all I have for question.
How big was that porch?
It's essentially an awning around the front of the building. Its porch is probably
It's on both sides,
yeah,
correct?
it's on both sides and,
Yeah.
yeah, it's on both sides. So it's essentially just an awning on each side of the
More than
retail
400
space.
square feet? So you're at 11.6 right now.
It's not calculated in the square footage of the building. It's an overhang, an awning over the sides of the building. And this designer and architect is the exact same designer that we used. It's the same exact building that we used, and they actually added that note in there after fire marshal review and everything with the previous building in 2020. So, you know, just to encapsulate the firewall that's in between the shop and the front of the building, and eliminated that from the gross floor area. And they added that comment about the awnings because it could be a local interpretation of whether that was part of the building, but they don't consider it part of the building, so that was just added in after.
Tom, as far as one of the other questions I had, and as far as building access for fire suppression, knowing that the building is not protected with a sprinkler system, have you considered looking or talked about 360-degree or 360 access around the building?
Yeah.
And what is your determination on that? Because I
Yeah.
see there is no access to the back of the building.
Right, so for the building, for what it is, only requires access to two sides per the code.
Okay,
We have talked to them, that is still a discussion that Matt and I are having about the awning, and then as well as about access to the building, and that's where he's gonna do a turning template, basically to determine more about the backside where they're gonna do the maintenance and stuff.
uh-huh,
What is that gonna be? Is that gonna be crushed stone? Is that gonna be asphalt? That kind of stuff, so I'm waiting to have another discussion with them about it.
okay.
So the fact that that isn't resolved
It-
as yet is another,
Well, it's
Well,
a,
it's not an issue,
It's-
it's one of those where it's not required for them right now in preliminary. It's something that we need to finalize before final. It's just one of those, it's in discussion of which direction, what do they wanna go? They have options, which is what they need, and that way I can determine, is
Okay.
it going to be, is it going to stable, is it gonna be stable enough for me to get a fire truck in the back, or not?
okay,
But the code only requires two sides, which they do meet.
and it is stable enough, and we use that. The back is, the restriction really here is avoidance of wetlands. So it's a minimization effort that we're working with DEP on the minimization of wetland impact. and reducing the impervious area. So therefore, there's no road out the back. We don't have a road out back in our Topsom store, but it's accessible. It's stable enough, and we don't have a road on one of the sides in our Manchester store. So it's compacted, it's gonna be grass, but it will be accessible by an emergency vehicle.
Okay.
Did you have anything else, Mike?
No, I think not right now.
Okay. Matt? Lisa?
I guess I'm gonna also go with the idea that in trying to do an overall review of this, I was left with more questions than answers, honestly. There were so many things that I tried to piece together without having to read a piece in the narrative and then try to figure out what it meant on the plan and how it correlated. I was having a little bit of difficulty. And the square footage of the porch was a question. I noticed you had a waiver for buffers or something in there, in the narrative somewhere on page 25. We didn't have much about the traffic patterns. C2, the site plan, I couldn't identify enough things to come up with a big picture of what the overall plan is, like the way the drives are in, the way the parking's gonna be. I just couldn't get an image in my head to ask questions because there wasn't. I'm curious about the outside storage of equipment, under the building, around the building, how that impacts the overall site, the traffic issues, where all the different things are gonna be, like any fuel storage, propane, access to them, bollards, protecting any kind of fuel. There's just not enough
Yeah.
information. I'm
I mean,
trying
it
to
says
put
new
together.
propane tank above ground.
On
But I
C,
think-
on C2?
No, I think that, yeah, it does, but I think it goes back to now we understanding that it needs to all be on one page.
But just to
it
give you an idea of the
wasn't sort
kinds of
the-
things that we're gonna be looking at, that
Yeah.
we would ask for, sign placement details, outside storage, traffic layout, security systems, fuel connections and locations, delivery access, dumpster areas, lighting for the dumpster areas and access, the screening issue, storage of outside stuff, sale, you're gonna have sales of resale and new, and is there gonna be an area for people to test drive and have good access? The interior layout of the building, the details about, where's sales, where's service, where's the fire, is the firewall shown on any?
Yeah, they're in the architectural, there's a floor plan and
Where, which page?
It's on the second plan set,
in the
it's the
plans,
architectural.
architectural plans.
There's the last, this here? GS1? S1, S2, which page?
There's structural plans and there's architectural plans that show the floor plan, there's,
Which?
yeah.
Help me out. I looked through a lot of pages, I got tired.
That's the foundation, and I think they're in the other set. This is the structural. This is the
The structural gives all the details about, all the connectors
Yeah, that
and
shows the
walls and
firewall,
stuff.
all the firewall.
That shows how it's built. and I'm
Prints
just
are
trying-
on S6 of S8. And these are standard architectural and structural plans.
So that's how it's built. I'm talking
Yeah.
about just an overall floor plan showing where the firewall is in relation to, from the room to room. I just couldn't
Yeah, I
find
mean,
it.
this is, again, like I said, these are all standard foundation and architectural drawings.
No, I'm not asking that. I'm
Yeah,
not questioning
that show
that.
the detail.
On the
On the site
layout of
plan?
the
Yeah,
floor-
we normally wouldn't do a layout of the floor plan on the site, civil drawings, but,
But it shows us where people are coming in the building and out of the building and trucks are accessing. That's normally what we want to have a visual of the operation of the site and how it's managed. Parking places in relation to hours of operation, if there's going to be any gates that are going to prohibit people from getting into the building. One of the things we always want to know, it relates with fire too, is like, if somebody pulls in and the building is closed, is there a gate? Can they turn around? Can they get out of where they're at, or do they have to back out onto Route 3? Just all kinds of
Yeah.
questions like that I can't find enough information.
So your firewall's on S1, it's got a section through it that.
yeah.
It's got a section,
Yeah, so then you turn to S8 and it shows you what that section looks like.
but I want to lay out on the floor.
Yeah,
floor-
S1.
Ah, Okay, but it doesn't delineate what room is for what. That's the attic draft stop area. So it's not in relation to, like, we've had before where it's like one side of the firewall was a sales area, one side of the firewall was a service area, that kind of thing. So I just couldn't get a good picture.
Just some labels on the floor plan.
A floor plan that says where the in and outs are and who's doing what, where.
Yeah, I was quite certain, I mean, from that perspective, I was quite certain there was a floor plan in there, but in the architectural plans, it's possible maybe this, because we had a set of structural and a set of architectural.
Yeah, I mean,
Some of
there's,
it was redundant information because it's the same, but it did have a floor plan.
So Lisa, if I can add to
As the
what you're trying to
doors,
say.
overhead doors,
On your application, page 5, fire
Yep.
department, okay? Down under fire department access, the very first thing says, building access door locations shown with narrative on the site plan drawings. They're not on the site plan. They may be in the architectural plans, but they're not on the site plans. Okay?
so my problem would be that if we ask a lot of questions and we
Yeah.
get a lot of answers, the problem is, once you give us the information, then we kind of got to start all over. That's where I'm kind of at.
Matt, as you're taking notes, maybe, like the site plan, some of the copies of these in the smaller form, I mean,
Right.
you
Like a
should be
11 by
familiar with
17.
what.
Yeah, yeah.
that's
Kind
what
of
we
a
would,
medium size in
that's what we would
between.
have typically done, but we,
Yeah, I mean, not not smaller versions of all of them.
you know,
but,
they're
the more
not to
pertinent
scale
ones.
when you do that, so it says to scale, and so
Yeah.
it's,
I think Matt knows what we're kind of looking for, or he should.
and I did see the door locations on the site plan, but I didn't think that was, it's not, you know, that's an Ellsworth specific thing, I
Yeah,
think.
just to show flow of who's coming and
Yeah.
going, who's leaving and
understood.
going, yeah, that sort of thing.
Yep.
Anything else? Could you explain a little bit about, there's wetlands that have been filled and remediated, and is that still an ongoing process? or-
It is. Yeah, when we first came to Ellsworth, we worked with the town code enforcement to fill the site, got a permit from the town to fill up to 40,000 square feet. We did that as sort of to get a jump start on the process. Once we knew we sort of needed to advance the design, we brought in an environmental, person to look at the site. They delineated that some wetlands had been filled. So part of the wetland alteration plan with DEP is to mitigate some of the wetland that was filled. And DEP and Army Corps have both visited the site and are,
It's progressive.
it's progressing. It's presented to them in that way, so. But we did work with the town on that, and
Just
Or
getting
give
back
them
to the entrance. Now, the entrance, there's a divided highway, like north of you towards Martin's. How close is your entrance to where that divided? where
that
the-
was a pivotal discussion with both DOT and DEP, because DEP wanted us to move the entrance closer to the island so we could minimize impact of wetlands. But DOT wanted it further away from the island, which was sort of a influence area for the intersection. So I think it's like it's greater than 500 feet away from the end of the island. Enough of an area where,
You mean now, or,
proposed, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I kind of read in that, did DOT give a reason why they didn't want your entrance further down towards Trenton? I mean, I didn't quite,
It was just too much wetland.
Oh,
So
okay.
we pushed as far as we could to come up so we could get in the upland of the project, of the site.
I thought it was just a case that DOT, nothing to do with the wetland, but just preferred it further,
They did, but we had to request to come as far into the upland as we could in order to minimize to be able to build on the north end of the site.
so at this point, you are clear of that island?
Oh, yeah.
What,
Yeah.
500 feet?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think there's an exhibit in the plans that shows
Yeah,
roughly
it
what
was
that
the-
is.
yeah.
In the attached narratives. supporting documentation.
And I think somewhere in there, I can't remember exactly where, you said you'd be moving the dumpster from location to location on site to not have a,
Yeah, we requested a waiver to not have a screening around the dumpster. You know, we keep it to the back of the site, often need to move it around. It's generating cardboard and very little waste. Just because of, you know, bringing equipment in and out of the building, so we requested a waiver we located the dumpster in its typical location, but we just requested a waiver to have a screening around it. So that way it would be able to be moved a little bit from location to, you know, within the general area of where it's located on the back side of the building.
Does that kind of movement happen at your other
Yes,
facilities?
it's pretty typical, yes. And everything is out behind the building, it's
not visible.
It's not visible from the road, generally.
so I mean, wherever you're gonna move the dumpster from place to place is still blocked from general view?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
So if that would be on your plan, like it would stay within this confine but could move back and forth, that might be an idea, so that we have an idea of where it's gonna be.
Yeah, I mean,
Kept.
yeah, understand.
That's just a note.
Just a, yeah, I mean, we have the dumpster location, but that'll be the general location of it, but screening it in just, you know, doesn't allow for the site to function as we need it to. So we asked for a waiver on that.
Can I jump back for a second?
Sure.
Did you look at the crash statistics? I thought I saw something in there about it.
Yes.
Did you look at that in any detail?
Yeah, I mean, I'll walk you through it. So most of the crashes in this location are up at the Martin's Lake. Sort of past 5 years, I think, let me just get that page so I can tell you.
Okay, and but you did not enclose the crash diagrams or anything like that, the actual locations, right?
I mean, like, aside from like the little dots on here.
Aside from that.
Yeah, no, not the actual like location.
It
Yeah.
might, I mean, because I think MDOT will give you that pretty much, right?
I mean, if I zoom in, yeah, on different locations, like some of them are the exact location of the crash, but where there was so many, they didn't have like every.
And that's fine, you know, what I'm mostly interested in is crashes that occur at the end of the queue away from the light.
Yep.
So, any detail on that?
So, do you want just like, so I go all the way down to coastal car care here,
That's far enough, certainly.
but do you want like more specific? There are like two groups of like 4.
If there are crashes at the end of the queue, in anywhere, the nearest to where your driveway is going to be, detail on those crashes would be good.
Okay, yeah.
You know, in terms of detail on crashes that occur in the intersection, not so much.
Yeah.
I mean, I want to know how many there are, but the details are not,
Right, just
Terribly
break out
important.
the details of the crashes that are closest to.
that are most relevant.
Yeah.
And I mean, and when I say most relevant, they may not be that relevant, right? But
No, I mean, if I remember.
you need to show that,
Yeah, if I remember,
demonstrate
I
that.
think like some of these, one of these was like the deer, or 2 of them was a deer, and then most of them like the rear side swipe type of.
Yeah, you know, those deer, they always get in traffic jams, damn.
All right.
But you know what we're looking for.
Yeah, now I do.
I'll be with you in a minute. Yeah, okay, so obviously, I mean, the traffic information is lacking. Another big thing, I mean, the stormwater, even just a, you know, brief analysis, not so much, you know, the technical
Yeah.
charts and stuff, but, I mean, I think that's a big reason, one of the big reasons that I'm not inclined to approve this as a preliminary. I think there's just too much, there's a lot of little stuff missing and several big items missing. Any points any discussion from staff?
Depends on how black and white we want to be with the ordinance. There's a little flexibility due to, you know, what's required per the ordinance for preliminary versus final. When I first reviewed it, I definitely thought this would be closer to a sketch plan than a preliminary. based on what the ordinance states.
Code?
I think she said it all.
Okay. Tom? All right. We'll open a public hearing. If anybody is here to speak their piece on this project, come up to the podium. Nobody's here. We'll close the public hearing.
I have another question.
Oh, go ahead.
Matt, on one of the pages here, looks, I'm looking, 606.7, existing site conditions continued. I don't understand, maybe you can explain this to me. Item N, it says emergency vehicle access limited with existing conditions to existing entrance suitable for access. I don't understand that wording.
That was a narrative on the access to this existing site.
Okay,
So the existing site really has no access for emergency vehicles, but I think that was what, it was confusing, that what's the emergency vehicle access to the existing site?
so this doesn't even need to be in here? 'cause
Probably
this-
doesn't, probably
okay,
just,
so-
yeah, probably
okay,
just
Okay,
not applicable.
okay,
I mean, there is an existing site because it's a gravel pad.
Well,
Okay.
I said it-
Superfluous words.
yeah. That's
All
in
right,
the
thank you.
ordinance.
It's in the ordinance, so therefore it needs, in the checklist.
Can't
it is
possibly
no-
be superfluous then.
No.
Yeah. And we did come to sketch plan already, and didn't get a lot of,
You
we
didn't,
did.
you didn't come to the planning
Not
board.
with you.
No.
No. Well, no,
TRT.
okay, yeah, yeah, TRT. Yeah.
Any other questions?
I'm good, thank you.
I guess, I have a question on how to word a motion to not approve the preliminary plan.
Well, if it's helpful, we can review the ordinance a little bit as to this part of the process, and Matt, you can chime in with your thoughts too. But basically, I want to point out that if it's considered a sketch plan, it would still have to come back for both the preliminary and the final before, final approval. The sketch plan is not a vested review according to our ordinance. And it is mandatory for any application to come before the planning board at least twice. The sketch plan reviews do not count toward the mandatory meeting requirements. So if they came back again and we didn't review it as a preliminary, and it was a sketch plan, they would have to come back twice.
Well, no, I don't expect them to come back for a sketch plan.
Right, but if we counted this as a sketch plan, they would still have to come back for a preliminary
Right.
and a final.
Well,
That's correct.
yes, but if,
So I'm just,
the motion was for a preliminary, I can't kind of go back and now make it a sketch plan.
Say, you asked me beforehand if it was sketch or preliminary, and I
Yes.
talked to the applicant, and we decided to move forward preliminary, so you'd vote as if it were preliminary.
Yeah, so, I mean, either way, they're gonna have, if we
Procedurally, it's.
decline to approve the preliminary plan, they're gonna have to come back for two anyway.
Yes, either way you cut it.
They're gonna, if this is a preliminary and we say it's not good enough, they have to come back for a preliminary and a final.
Yeah.
So,
yes, and it says something about a 6-month,
no, they could come back next month for another preliminary.
if it's well, it says if a site development plan is denied by the administrator planning board, a new site plan proposing the same development for the same property should not be filed within 6 months after final decision. Does
I
that
think
count
that's,
as-
I think that's if we turn,
Okay.
if we get to a final and say no,
Okay,
then they can't come back for 6 months.
alright, just wanna make sure.
Preliminary, they can come back next month.
Right.
Perfect.
So I'll make a motion that we do not approve the preliminary plan review of a major use site development entitled Ellsworth Tractor and Equipment for applicant owner Michael Saucier. And you can add the rest of it for the tax map. Is there a second?
Second,
All in favor of not approving the preliminary plan? Okay. So, hopefully we'll see you next month, gentlemen.
Thank you.
With binders. With a binder. And tabs.
What's next? We're on a roll here. We're on a roll here. Union Fund.
Missing.
Oh, yeah, no, I agree. No, what happens is that if you say go ahead, and there's all the stuff that they have to do, then you come back the next time, and everything has to be done with no other questions. And that's the chance of that happening. I mean, where is,
So you like being right in the middle?
Do you want your rest of your folks to sit up front, or
who are these guys?
Union Farm?
So this is the final for these guys.
This is the final.
Yes, it is. Okay, item number 3, final plan review of a major use site development entitled Union Farm Equipment for applicant owner Union Farm Equipment. The proposal is to construct an approximately 12,000 square foot building for farm equipment sales and rentals. The subject property is approximately 13.09 acre, located at 215 Down East Highway, tax map 16, lot 32, located in the commercial zoning district. Someone here representing.
So since our preliminary approval, we made a few, I'd say a few minor changes to the plan, with the biggest change being the entryway coming into the site. In order to reduce some of the paved area in front of the building, we've split this into a one-way traffic flow coming in with a crushed stone area, sort of, I'll refer to it, an island in the middle that they could use for display purposes. Additionally, with the building, we took 10 feet off of the back of the building and shifted it a little bit closer to Route 1. Beyond that, there was just some minor changes from the preliminary plan. The grass storage areas or display areas that we had previously, we're proposing to do those in crushed stone to limit maintenance, so they don't have to always move when they're mowing the grass. They don't have to move all the equipment to do things like that. The changes to the traffic pattern and the building changes allowed us to add a few more parking spaces directly in front of the building. We've designated an area, you can see with the different hatch patterns of this area is all proposed for pavement. The rest of the area here around the back is proposed as gravel. The intent is to eventually pave that, but we didn't want to commit to having it all paved now. If they decide they need to save some money during the initial construction, they'll leave that as gravel and then may pave it over time. I know at the previous meeting, there was a lot of discussion around traffic that we had. So the applicant recorded, or they had documented, recorded, went back through their videos. They have security cameras at their other facility in Union. So they were able to document what they had for traffic over a week's period at that site. And then we broke that down into various types of customers, their own delivery trucks, UPS type deliveries, and tractor trailers. We gave that breakdown in the revised narrative. Traffic is not, it's not a heavy source of traffic at this site. I know previously trucks being the biggest concern. That site saw a little under 3 trucks per day over the course of that week, and the week is one of the busiest times of the year in the spring when people are sort of getting ready to do yard work and things like that. And it's also worth noting that this store is about half the size of their facility in Union, and they're only projecting about 20% of the sales at this store compared to the other one. So those numbers should be high compared to this store as far as what they would see for traffic. Trying to think, we moved the propane tanks to the other side of the building. I'll zoom in here a little bit. Previously, the tanks were over on this side. We moved them over here because the mechanical room inside the building some of the interior floor plan got moved around, and the mechanical room is on that side of the building now, so we put the tanks over there, they'd be closer. We added, based on discussions at the last meeting, we've added gates. So those gates would be located on both the in and the outside, so people could still come into the site off of Route 1. If the gate's closed, there's enough room that they could then turn around in the driveway and leave, so there's no concern with having to stop for the fire truck, having to stop on Route 1 to get into the site, or a customer that pulls in, then having to back out into Route 1. This configuration leaves enough space for them to get into the driveway and turn around and exit if they come when the store is closed. And then we also added some boulders along the frontage of the driveway in the front of the site. Those are really for security purposes, so somebody doesn't come and try and drive off with a tractor. The boulders would prevent that. I think that's the majority of the changes, and the biggest issue I think that we had before was probably the traffic issue, and I think we've addressed that with the revised narrative. Happy to answer any questions that the board has.
Let me jump in.
Yeah, if I can, real quick, the floor plan changes that you, Mark Jaffrey from Coastal Maine. Floor plan changes, just to let you guys know, we have reduced the penetrations through the firewall. So now there are only 3 penetrations through that firewall. 2 are 3080 doors, and 1 is a 6080 door. So to let you know, that's been removed, and then the access to bring equipment in and out of the showroom is going to occur through the front. So just wanted to let you guys know that as well, that was another change made, along with the reduction of the size of the rear of the building from Building B went from 50 by 120 to 40 by 120.
Saw that on the plan.
Sean, the changes to the pavement you're not putting down, you may put down later.
Yep.
Is around the whole building?
So this, I'll say the darker shaded area.
Yeah, that's
so on
pavement.
the side, in the front of the building, that's all paved.
Right.
And then from that line, all the way around the back, for now, it's proposed as gravel, but with the intention of eventually paving.
And that little other kind of in-between area right next to the building all the way
Oh,
around?
so that's concrete, sorry.
Concrete, okay.
Yeah.
Will, if you come back to pave the gravel area, does that change the stormwater?
No,
runoff, or-
gravel, pavement, concrete, they're all considered the same through DEP. So,
Okay.
and I was with the city, it's all considered impervious, so it doesn't change any of our numbers there. And we paved everywhere where there's catch basins, so we don't have to worry about catch basins being high or low and having to adjust those later.
So Sean, the area behind the building that's gravel, and this is for you too, Tom, is this area an area where emergency vehicles can get around?
Yes.
Okay, so it's a drivable surface, acceptable to you folks, okay?
And that back area would be similar to the back area at your Union Place in terms of equipment being parked back there and so forth?
Yeah, so there's, it's a drop-off area, there's far towards the back, there'll be some storage. This little area here is a loading ramp, so a truck can back up to that ramp, you can drive equipment, whether it's into the back of a pickup truck or some sort of a flatbed. So, it's not that it's a completely empty spot for vehicle maneuvers. There's gonna be some equipment there, but it is a surface, and there'll be enough room left to be able to get a fire truck all the way around the building.
I imagine-
And their delivery trucks, when an 18-wheeler comes in to deliver tractors, they'll be able to.
They got
go around.
18-wheelers back there, you can get fire truck in.
Right.
I mean, I would suspect that, I mean, that area there too will be used by an individual customer who's hauling in a tractor on a trailer.
Yeah, so
Service.
there's this bump out here on the side. That's specifically for customers that come in with a trailer. If they're bringing in something that they need service on, they can
If they park there.
come in there and pull off to the side and then go in.
For the record, that's in theory.
There will-
People probably won't park there. but-
There will be signage, but you know how that goes.
Rick, to answer your question.
Everybody obeys signs, I know that.
Rick, to answer your question, yes, we intend to have that back area by the loading dock and whatnot for staging of equipment, retail's going out and service equipment. That's why the gravel's going farther back that way.
And that's a solid footing.
It will be, yes, sir. Yeah, same, basically the same thing that we have in Union, I mean, that same sort of surface material.
It's gonna be built, so it could eventually be paved if they
Got
wanted
it,
to.
right.
And Sean, on the entrance now, so the entrance exit's gonna be divided now with a raised median, is that?
So out, right at Route 1, there's always been that raised
Yes.
island at Route 1, which stops right here, if you can see my cursor on the screen. Stops there.
Right.
That is just a painted line. I think there was some discussion earlier about trying to separate the in and out. So that's just painted, because this is
Okay.
one-way traffic in and then one-way traffic out.
Okay, I wasn't sure if that was
And you got
raised.
separate lanes on the out, you have a right turn and left turn.
Yes,
separated.
at Route 1, yeah.
But on
So,
the-
so no, this section is not raised, that's just striping, so somebody can swing around if they,
It may be prudent, maybe it's on the plan, but the entrance, to put some signage to keep people from exiting through the entrance, because once you get out to the road, then you are on the left side of a divider. You see what I mean? As you come in your entrance, as you get close to the parking areas, maybe have some signage there.
signage here, so
Yes.
people don't
That
drive out
says
that
do
way.
not enter, for
Yeah.
example.
Yeah,
Yeah, so you could add a sign there.
And they either will or won't.
Right. And it is, we've narrowed that up, so it's 16 feet wide, plenty wide for any sort of truck to get in there, but hopefully somebody would see it and realize that it's not the width of a two-lane.
So with that, I was looking at that, are you okay with that? Okay.
I'm good, I like what you did with the videotape and whatever. I mean, that's a good way to go, so I like the narrative and you convinced me, so I'm good.
Good, thank you.
I wish more people would take the initiative to actually do some counting and so forth, because over-reliance on the models is over-reliance on the models, right? So this is good. Or as good as it can be, given it's on Route 1, I guess I should say.
anything more?
I'm all set, thank you.
Matt?
I like it.
Mark?
Did a great job. I think they've got it.
See, they all want to buy a tractor now, right?
Did a great job.
We have one that's worn out, but we need a new one.
You're not allowed to ask him in session.
I'm sure at the grand opening, they'll be glad to talk to you all.
I was just curious, you gave a long list of all the little changes, and there was a lot of, that made sense and were improvements of things we talked about. Is there a location where all of those changes are noted? Because it was hard to go back and go like, where was that? Yeah, that was there.
No, in the narrative, we listed sort of what the major changes were, the changes
Yep.
to the entrance and changes of the
Yeah.
building size
not all the little
and
stuff.
shift, but we didn't go through and list.
So when you move the propane tanks, which I understand the reason why, are there protective bollards now in front of them?
There's rocks, boulders.
Okay, it's
boulders
just gonna
in
be the
front of tanks.
boulders?
Yep.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure what that was. I'm not noticing it. Where did your dumpster go?
That stayed in the same spot, so that is right over here on this side of the building.
Oh, though you have the two, that's right. You have
Yep.
2 yard dumpsters. And they're staying in place?
Yep.
They're not moving? Okay, good. But, yeah, I mean, basically, all the things we had questions about, they got resolved, in my opinion.
Really couldn't find anything major, which is good. On page 2 of the application, what legal interest does the applicant have in the subject properties? Checked off purchase and sales contract, but you actually own the property.
And when we
correct?
were here for the preliminary, it was purchase and sale, they now own it.
Okay. And your traffic, past bricks, muster, stormwater, the minor
Where we're-
conflict was taken care of. It looked like there was a couple little minor changes in the stormwater, but everything.
Oh, yeah, I think there was a typo or something in
Yeah.
the initial narrative.
Yep. But no. I think that was it. Any comments from staff?
No, we're happy.
Fire guy happy? Fire guy happy.
I will open this to a public hearing. If anybody's here that wants to make a comment or ask a question. If not, I will close the public hearing. Somebody like to make a motion?
Make a motion to approve the final plan of a major use site development entitled Union Farm Equipment for applicant owner, Union Farm Equipment.
Second. All in favor? Okay, unanimous.
Let
Thank
me
you,
just,
gentlemen.
let me just say, it would, and this is kind of on the record, off the record, but I would think it would be really useful for the city, and developers, if they're willing to play, to look at some of these intersections and so forth down the line after, the things have been opened and so forth, with the idea of saying, well, okay, we expected this many cars and we got this many, or trucks or whatever, or we expected these kinds of problems at the intersection of the driveway, and,
Type it up, send it to me.
oh, okay.
Well, the DOT does the annual traffic count.
Yeah,
We
but
can-
that's,
I mean, that, well, that gives us a baseline.
oh, it gives you a base of what
And then
happened.
we compare to once it's developed.
But, some of these things are really, not so much this one, which is a low volume thing, really. But some of the other sites have, they're close to being troublesome.
John.
And I get that they don't actually become
Take a
trouble.
5-minute break and.
But it'd
plan.
be good to have some sort of record.
Okay, they want us, we're gonna take a 5-minute break. They've got some site plans they'd like us to sign, so they can
Leave.
start building the building.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, gentlemen.
We
Thank you.
appreciate it.
Thank you for being responsive. Yay. I would actually move out there today and look at the site distance, we're going that way, right? I mean, if we're coming out of development.
Okay,
It's more
okay.
than 500 feet.
No, that's good.
Item number 4, final plan review of a major use site development and a new or existing subdivision entitled Nova Plaza for applicant owner JC Cowboys Realty LLC. Proposal is to construct a 2-story mixed-use building with 4 commercial units on the first floor and 3 residential units on the second floor and a standalone observation platform. The property is approximately 1.49 acre lot located at 99 Bangor Road, tax map 59, lot 50, in the urban zoning district. Someone here representing JC Cowboys.
Yes, sir. Good evening. Robert Frank from WBRC representing JC Cowboys, the applicant. Toby Michaud sends his regrets again. He's on vacation this week, too. I'm starting to get a complex.
Did you buy a dinner?
No, he owes me double. He better put the material in a binder this time, I hope.
Is Mr. Tran with us tonight on Zoom?
Yes, he is.
Okay.
Hello, everyone.
Hello. Welcome, Mr. Tran. Okay, the floor is all yours.
All right. So tonight, we do bring back plans, and in the cover letter dated August 14th, we did outline the changes that came about from the previous review. I think I could zoom in here and explain a little bit. So we did we had to eliminate 2 parking spaces on the row abutting Bangor Road. We were able to move those over. We're now at the, we meet the standard for parking. We're right at the limit. We're able to put in the divided exit lanes with a median and 2 12-foot exit lanes. That works from a standpoint. We did reach out to our traffic consultant. What she said was, she didn't say we don't recommend, she said we don't normally recommend it. So my mistake at the last meeting, so sorry for pushing back a little. She did say, though, that during the 95th percentile, there could be 3 cars stacked there, so having 2, that'll help. Her only thought with those is sometimes 1 car exiting can block the site distance to the other. With 3 vehicles at the peak, it's not an issue. Now, we did add and designate a striped area at the rear of the building. Oh, that did not work. Let's try this.
Oh, I see. It does say RV parking.
Well, what have I done? Well, I hit the wrong button here. Good job. There we go. So at the rear of the building, we did designate an area for RV and delivery. Given the frequency of either, we felt that 1 space would satisfy that request. I personally went out and did new site distance, exiting site distance as I went home from the last meeting. And we now have not the at least, but the actual, so we have 530 feet to the east and 605 feet to the west. And that was set back at the new location of the drive 10 feet. On the same site plan, the layout plan, in the upper portion, you will see a dimensioned subdivision plan, if you will, showing the subdivision of the second floor with all those dimensions for that space that would be for rent. And that's essentially the majority of the change that happened at the last meeting. The narrative was adjusted to reflect the 44 spaces that are proposed. We did not designate tenant spaces as of yet. I know Tommy may want to speak to that a little bit once things get up and running, to see where folks felt comfortable, whether behind the building or set off to one side. The other item was snow storage. We did lose some of the temporary snow storage out front Given the estimated usage change from peak summer to winter, they'll now be doing temporary pile and removal. What little storage we have will probably be, there isn't much left for permanent snow storage, so they'll have to be trucked away. And we did bring, due to the subdivision portion, we did bring the Mylar copy as well as the papers for you folks as well, if we're granted final approval for your signature this evening. And that's it for change from the last meeting.
So we're looking at your, the site plan with the elevations and knowing, I drive by that lot pretty much every day. And it looks like there's gonna be a fairly significant on the reduction of the height of the property, like especially on the south side, at the south end, nearest the bridge.
Right, we are flattening out that hillock a little bit so that there's not a sight issue.
Yep.
Yep, here we go. There still remains a small elevated space here,
Right.
but basically it's set back from property line back.
One question I have for staff, Reggie Winslow's letter says, given the development will require fire suppression, I recommend that a flow test be conducted to verify available pressure and flow conditions. Is that something that has been done or
No, that'll
to be done?
That will be done when they start building out for the sprinklers. It's required to do a flow test of the hydrant. And then from there, they'll design the system to figure out whether or not they need a fire pump on their property or not.
But that's after,
Okay,
That's
I mean,
that's an after thing.
an additional pump doesn't need to be on a site plan or, okay. I think that's all I had. Simple.
You did what you said you did, which is good. You know, we got the, I mean, I don't know what else you can do to make that site any more palatable from a traffic perspective, really. I mean, I think the exiting with 2 lanes is, thought was a good idea then, I think it's a better idea now. Certainly sight distance is not really a problem any more than anything else along there. I would note that on page 5 of something, I guess it's the traffic thing, you talk about Route 1, and it really should be Route 1A, but that's
Right.
trivial. It was all 1A on all the other ones, but not that one. And I would again point out to the city and the traffic engineering consultant pointed out the issues that are happening all along that stretch of road. And while this may not be a huge problem, this particular site, it obviously makes it worse. I mean, it can't make it better, right? And the left turns in are still gonna be problematic. And again, this is a thing that I think that the city, maybe with the developer, should keep an eye on once it's open and up and running and seeing what goes on. Because, traffic along Route 1A, sorry, is increasing. This is increasing. It's not gonna get any better. And at the same time, you can't fix it unless you do major, major work through there, which I don't think is gonna happen in my lifetime, which is pretty short actually, but,
Don't say that.
Anyway, thank you.
Thank you.
I think it's a pretty good response.
Actually, I got a question for you on page 6.
Oh.
On the existing no build 2027, build 2027.
Yes. Why it got better?
No,
Oh.
why does it go in existing 2025, goes from 327 and to no build in 27 to 781? Is that?
I don't know why it's that much, because the other ones don't.
Yeah. I mean, is that a,
And that's at North Street. I don't know. I don't know. But some of the anomalies in terms of whether the level of service increases or decreases with the build, these are simulation runs and sometimes the simulation answer goes up and down and whatever. It's a little bizarre, a little disconcerting sometimes when you add traffic to the intersection and the level of service gets better. I just the way simulation works and the way models work, and why you shouldn't put all that much faith in them sometimes.
I mean, is that a misprint for the numbers, or?
I don't believe so, Diane. I mean, that comes right out of their data. I know that,
Yeah, I don't know about that one.
I can't explain it.
I mean, it was just so extreme that I just figured it was a typo.
Yeah, I mean, it doubles
Right.
it, which
Yeah.
seems unlikely.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
And the only other thing from traffic standpoint, and this is more to the city, I mean, once it gets built, I think the city should be cognizant of the fact of, if people start parking on the road, because it kind of goes in cycles, because sometimes, apparently, some of the leaf peepers that come to Ellsworth must not have trees that change color in their hometown. Because they'll stop and park on that bridge on both sides of the road
Yeah.
to take pictures of the river. I just, from the city standpoint, something to think about.
Maybe they'll park in the parking lot.
So, John, recently, in the past couple of years, you'll have noticed PD's been putting out signs of
Yeah.
no parking, and they've been enforcing it.
Yeah.
Because we had a couple instances ourselves trying to get through there, so they kind of improved upon.
But I'm kind of concerned too about, motorhomes, if they don't think, because you see it everywhere along that stretch, even my friends and family, you'll see tractor trailers parked on the road. When it's built, maybe some no parking signs up there, if it turns out to be a problem.
One question I do have, we had talked a little bit about, I see where you put the RV parking in the back there. Did you put any signage out that said additional RV spaces in the back or anything like that?
Not additional, there should be on the layout plan.
Right here.
Is there something there?
Designation,
You see it? It's right there.
well,
Oh, yeah, no, but the question is there a sign
signage?
back here that says for an RV to go back there?
We certainly can have signage or make it a condition that signage is there identifying that striped area as,
Yeah.
if it's not painted, it would be on a sign. If it's not painted right in the space,
That'd be good. I mean, that's not something that we can enforce, really.
but
But it would be
it'll be
useful.
helpful.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, right by that right turn in, somewhere right as they get on your property, have some type of.
oh, directing
some
RV around the back,
out
right.
Well, as they pull in, they're gonna make that left in front or go to the back, so right there.
If I were driving the RV, I wouldn't make the sharp turn to the left coming from the east, that's for sure. I'd be taking the widest curve I could.
Oh, absolutely,
Something.
yeah. But the thing is, they won't know that
I
it's
know.
even a possibility.
I wouldn't even turn in here if I had an RV, if I were smart enough.
So, Tom, do you have any idea as to where you're gonna put your sprinkler connection on this building? Not back where the RV park is.
No, I believe it's right by tenant 4.
Okay,
It's right by that stairwell right there,
Yeah,
okay,
is where the,
all right,
we've got a riser room back there too.
yeah, it's
All right.
where the connection, the FTC connection is.
all right. That sounds good.
And thank Diane for all the computer output.
You love it?
Really appreciate that.
Well, and you must see a lot of these stack up, because I don't think they were able to count till after June 15th to get real seasonal count. So the summer used to be a little easier for you guys, and winter was busy. Now it's maybe flipped around.
One question on stormwater. Part of the property, if I remember correctly, ties into the city stormwater system? Am I remembering that correctly?
I know it heads off in 3 directions. I know there is, towards Bangor Road, an existing inlet that we are putting, erosion protection on during construction and allowing that natural flow to continue.
Was there a stormwater line that comes off your property then ties into a line that goes under Route 1A?
There, yeah, on our grading plan, you'll see there's a the temporary inlet protection here for the basin, and then on the utility plan, where is it? We've got cross culvert here. There's the inlet here. I can't read that.
The reason I bring it up, I mean, it may be prudent, seeing as the city now has a nice handy dandy vacuum truck, that prior to this being open, that stormwater line is inspected and cleaned out.
Right, so the city line crosses over here. It originally ran down through here. We do have a new culvert under the drive that allows it to continue, and you can see that basically the drainage way goes down and then allows it to cross. And then there's a little bit here that actually comes forward, the rest heads to the back, and then some over here heads that way.
So I think it'd just be prudent to inspect that line. I promise that's it.
Going that way?
Anything,
Going that way.
Mike?
I'm all set, thank you.
Mark?
All set.
Feel free to talk nerdy to me, because I'm a stormwater guy.
Okay.
I'm amazed that you've got your post-development flow so much lower than your pre-development. Wait, hang on a sec.
I don't think they're greatly.
They went, okay. Yeah, they went down, so we're equal on SP1, went down on SP2. So what kind of maintenance on this under drain filter is needed?
You mean the grass under drain?
You got the grass under drain, and then the roof, you mentioned roof drip line
Yeah,
drains.
so the roof drip line is basically a crushed stone drip strip that'll go into the under drain system, separate from the roof leader.
Okay.
Yep. I mean, it has a filter fabric layer near the top. I've had one at my house for 22 years now, and no gutters, which is
Okay.
nice. And
Yeah.
it hasn't had any issues yet, despite, I'll just say someone I know near and dear that I've been married to for 28 years with a lot of bark mulch near the drip strip. But if it were to plug, you'd notice it and basically peel it away and put down clean fabric and clean stone.
Okay. So the under drain rock trench filter, is that it just passes through then? There's no like collection outlet, it just passes through this filter?
Right, it
Okay.
basically, yep, it takes it away from surface runoff and basically puts it into like a recharge.
Yeah, very cool. Cool, that's all.
All right.
Okay, me again. I asked you last time, and honestly, I don't remember what you said, and I didn't write it down. When I asked about the parking spaces that are up to the Bangor Road, and you have a 10-foot landscape buffer, is that such that they can't just like zip out onto, I asked about if you're gonna have like concrete. I know
No.
you answered it, I just don't remember what you
Right,
said.
and I don't believe I shared this. David Woodward's quite happy with his landscape plan. It meets your standards. It's pretty heavily
Vegetated.
vegetated.
Okay. So it's
Yeah.
visible, and there are
It's
gonna
a
be tree
visible-
barriers.
Yep, and
Okay.
it's set back behind the property line, so it's not, if it's maintained and doesn't overgrow, it's not going to be a sight distance issue.
Okey-doke. And then on CP 101, you show that little tiny storage room. We talked about that last time, and last time, I guess when we talked to Mr. Tran, he was saying that it might be management, it might be storage. But then when you look at AE2, the architectural plan, it has nothing listed there for that little room. So my only question, see, that one shows storage.
We label it as storage,
But on the architectural plan, it doesn't say.
right?
And so it's double-edged sort of questioning that we want to make sure that that room is not approved for any kind of commercial rental or any other
Oh,
purpose
right,
other than
right.
for storage or for incidental to the management. But if you label it storage, then it might not be reviewed correctly for just as like incidental
When
office.
the building plans are,
Yeah.
from a use standpoint, it is not a residential space, so it doesn't,
And not commercial, not going to be
Not
rented out to
commercial.
anybody
Yeah.
for any purpose or
That's
any
correct.
reason. It's just incidental to the structure
If-
as it stands for management or storage.
what I think is Tommy may spend some time up in the storage room getting away from the hubbub. I don't know.
Yeah, you don't want to box yourself in too tight with just listing it as storage when you deliver your architectural plans, but for us, that's what you've noted it as, and so.
Correct.
Just, that's what it would be limited to,
It would carry through, that's correct.
okay?
And it's a pretty small space.
It is tiny. Hey, New York, that would be like an apartment, so, what do you want? And then my.
Three-bedroom apartment.
Yeah, three-bedroom apartment. Then my other question was, I had asked about the railroad being very close to your property, and even though it wasn't listed as an abutter because of the way the property is a right-of-way and it's there, but did you have an opportunity to protect yourselves and get a response from the railroad as to whether or not they had any other, because you're building so close to it? Like I said, I would hate to see you get in a situation where they were unhappy.
No,
even-
where we're not crossing into the right-of-way, we've
No.
we've done that multiple times on that.
I'm not saying you are. What I'm
Yeah.
saying is I've seen in other areas where the setback distances for railroad is way different than it is for municipal building and side yard setbacks and things like that. And I've seen it hurt applicants that weren't aware that they had, that's why I asked you to go through it for your
Sure.
own benefit. We're not requiring it, but for your own benefit to stop you from having a problem.
No, I appreciate that, thank you.
I mean, I would think that when you met with MDOT, that, MDOT owns that railroad
They
line.
control, right. with
And
the-
so if there was a concern from MDOT, I'm sure.
Yeah, I
they-
think that was the question last time. It was like, it's listed as Main Central, but if DOT is the one that owns and operates it, then hopefully they would have advised you before you get started. So that was,
Its current use is more recreational.
yeah,
Yeah.
they can change their minds though.
Yeah, they could.
That's what happened in the situation I was aware of, that the railroad was considered like a dead railroad bed, and then they changed their minds. They decided to refurbish it, and that's when everything became a real problem. So I'm just trying to keep trouble from happening before it happens. But it's just a suggestion.
Thank you.
Otherwise, that's it. Thank you for the binder.
Yes. Yes.
I said they better have sent down a binder this time, or I'm not even coming through that door.
They do.
That's the serious stuff.
Any
That's
issues,
right.
anything from staff?
Staff's happy.
I will open the public hearing.
Fire happy?
I just have a question.
Certainly, come up to
My
the,
name is Judy Blood, I'm a near neighbor. My question is, what is the commercial space going to be?
Oh, Tommy. Oh, you're muted.
He's muted.
Hello, everyone. So the plan in terms of commercial space for us would be a luxurious nail salon, and possibly right now, sort of a fast food, sort of like, I would say, a banh mi shop, or it's similar to concept as like a Subway, where, people basically select what type of bread, what type of meats they want. And, that's right now the two retail shop that we're thinking about.
It says 4 commercial units.
Right. But, the other two, we're gonna put it up for rental to see what type of commercial tenant would be interested in. But I've went to Ellsworth, and obviously I have family members that live there and whatnot. And we just felt that the city of Ellsworth didn't have a very luxurious nail salon per se. And we want to bring that sort of luxury that, not just for the tourists, but really for the people of Ellsworth to be able to, especially, women and sometimes males, to come and just basically escape and enjoy themselves and have a place that they can really sort of relax. And that's one of the big, vision for this plaza, and obviously also to hire a lot of the locals there as well to increase employment and whatnot.
And just to clarify, Tommy used the term fast food, it's actually a fast casual, no drive-through window, and there's sit-down. It's not I guess the Subway is probably a fast casual, they don't have drive-throughs, so.
So no sit-down?
There is sit-down, yeah, there's sit-down.
And
No drive-through.
Yeah.
I have just one other question. I'm sorry. I didn't know what the first one was.
Sure.
So my other question is in regards to the observation platform, and the standalone observation platform, how tall is that? Is it used to sit down and eat your fast casual food, or is it to pay a fee and go look over the river?
So at first, the vision for that was that my wife, we went and toured the site, and we just found that the area was very beautiful naturally, but there wasn't like sort of a space for us to like take pictures and whatnot. So we thought like perhaps by creating this deck area so that people can obviously take selfies or take pictures, and we'll have signage up in terms of Ellsworth, welcome to Ellsworth, Nova Plaza, whatnot. In a way, that will help sort of create social content and media, and then increase sort of social awareness of the city as well as the area, because a lot of people know about Acadia Park and Bar Harbor and whatnot going through it. But you know, in me speaking to a lot of people, they're not so familiar with Ellsworth, but they know about Acadia Park and they know about Bar Harbor. So I just wanted to create an area where the people that are passing by, they can, you know, take pictures of it. We do have a place where people can eat right next to the plaza, but mainly that area where the deck or the observation deck will be just for pictures and for Instagram and social media more so.
So it's a deck and not a tower?
So an elevated platform.
An elevated platform, okay.
Yeah, elevated platform.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
I'll close the public hearing. Anything else from staff? Anything from the board members? Motion?
I think it's a job well done.
Make a motion to approve the final plan of the major use site development and a new or existing subdivision entitled Nova Plaza for applicant owner JC Cowboys Realty LLC.
Second. All in favor? Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Tran.
And again,
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
sign the plan.
Okay,
We
so
need
we're
another
gonna
5-minute break for
Yep.
some signatures.
take another 5-minute break so we can sign the site plan so they can get digging tomorrow. for the, go ahead. Okay, item number 5, revision to an approved major use site development plan entitled Main Street LLC for applicant owner Dustin Lawrence. Proposal is to revise the plan previously approved by the planning board to change out the previously approved buffer trees with boulders. The subject property is approximately 3.6 acre parcel located on Route 1A, Bangor Road, tax map 143, lots 1, 2, and 4 in the urban zoning district. Is someone here representing the applicant, owner?
No.
Mr. Lawrence is not on Zoom,
So that's that.
so then I would say we table that, if he wants to come
Make a
on another
motion?
board, another
Make a
board
mo-
meeting.
I make a motion, we table it.
Second, if you second tables?
Second.
Okay, all in favor of tabling it?
Table. Moving on. That's what I like to see.
Okay, item number 6, cannabis ordinance review. Oh, that's wrong.
You know whose problem this is?
That's all me, I guess. The both of us have worked on it, but it's all me under here. You got the, I'm deputy over here, I'm just Barney
Deputy dog.
This is the class. I gotta reread this thing all over.
So what are we doing here? It's like,
So, yeah, I was just letting Judy go. I gave all of you the most recent version of the ordinance. Everything in red on that was added yesterday.
Keep going.
Okay. Nothing to see here. But there was some talk at the previous meeting you all were at, or most of you were at, about limiting the area that it could be in, that we could allow these stores in. Also, the idea of making the cannabis ordinance match up with the alcohol, the liquor ordinance on setbacks from places of worship. We decided after some deliberation amongst ourselves that the easiest way to do that was to create a cannabis overlay zone that restricts it basically to the commercial district, and that because it is in the commercial district, that if there happens to be a church within that setback that we would have otherwise, that the church understands they're in the commercial district and that's part of being where they are. If we had gone with a place of worship setback, and for instance, hypothetically, if somewhere in the Main Coast Mall, that would shut down about half of the commercial district with that setback to having a store in that whole area. So that it was one of those things we wrestled with back and forth. We added a lot of other stuff after the deliberations. I know one of the hot topics is going to be the proposed $500,000 of improvement or build or any of that sort of thing that we want to require of any applicant to get them into the lottery. And then I don't know what you may have to say about the impact fees that I added yesterday.
can I ask a question?
Absolutely.
Oh, good. Somewhere there's a table of impact fees, is that correct?
There,
I mean, not in here, but in your file someplace. Is there a list of what other impact fees we charge?
so the only other impact fee that we charge,
Is that,
also in the commercial district, it's for trip ends. It's to pay off the Myrick Street.
right, okay, that's the only other one?
That's the only other one that I'm aware of.
Okay,
We do have we have a sewer fee that it's based on,
gallons.
but
or
yeah,
something.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
on usage, but
Right.
that's about the.
Okay, so
yeah.
I have all that, I have that stuff.
Yeah.
I personally have that stuff from the last time we talked.
Yes.
Okay.
So I can explain, if you want, with the impact fee, I can explain how we derived the.
No, I
that.
mean, I read it, I'm good.
Okay.
There were some changes last night, based on the council workshop to the impact fee section, that they wanted us to make it not so, prescriptive of what the impact fees will be used for, because there's regulation about what impact fees can be used for, so just to kind of put it more generic in there, from an accounting, process
This is-
standpoint.
The impact fee section is still being reviewed by our legal counsel, by Scott, who was here at that meeting. He's hopefully gonna have it back to me by the end of the week, but given how recently that was added, I haven't had it legally vetted yet.
Bob, is there any indication of what I feel is a substantial impact fee, I mean, but I don't know really, that other cities, towns, whatever, how much will it restrict or retard people's applying for these positions?
I did some research on that. The reason we went with that, there isn't a lot of data for this for Maine for impact fees, but not that we always want to follow Massachusetts, but Massachusetts does this a lot. They typically have done a 3% of the gross income for the store for the year.
Wow.
This is based off 1% of the average for 2025 of what adult use stores will make statewide. They're gonna average about 2.2 million in gross sales for the year. I rounded down and put it at 20,000.
Pretty good. And is there any concern about the fact that we're comparing essentially rural, semi-rural Maine versus Massachusetts?
There is that risk with that, yeah. We also get 4 million tourists every summer that come through.
That.
So, and every single one of them, I'm sure some of them might go the Bayside Road, but almost all of them go right down High Street where the stores are gonna be located.
Okay, most of them went, never mind.
So,
Portland has a pretty high impact fee, right?
I don't know if they have one for cannabis.
they have a high license fee.
They have a high license.
License
Because
fee
they created
for
an
cannabis.
entire department to regulate it.
How much
for
was
this.
that?
I can't remember off the top of my head, but I think it's like $10,000 per store, something like that.
That's what I remember.
That's
I mean,
that's just the license fee. I don't know what else they have for impact fees or anything.
Well, Bob, I had sent you the samples from other states, and that was the thing I thought was very interesting, was the impact fees were huge. They were in the $20,000 range, and I tried to look at cities that were touristy in nature and of the similar size as Ellsworth, and I pulled stats from different towns in New Jersey. Now, nobody wants to be in New Jersey, that's why I left, but because of the amount of money that's being made and the fact that it does impact the city as far as, traffic and police and fire and all these other things, that this is a pretty average impact fee. It's actually pretty low.
Would there be an impact fee if let's say that somebody wanted to redo completely where Hannaford's is? Would they be charged an impact fee?
Yes. So if they were going to go into the Main Coast Mall, for instance,
Okay.
is that the question?
Yeah, I mean, have we been charging other people, other land uses, impact fees other than what's in the triangle?
No.
Oh, no.
If they were coming in to use this use.
No.
Just well, other than the sewer, which is sort of an impact fee, it's to tie into the public sewer. The only impact fee that Ellsworth has is in the commercial district, and it's effectively.
So we wouldn't charge anybody at this point. And again, I think we probably should be, but that's beside the point. But at this point, we wouldn't be charging anybody else other than what's in that triangle and a cannabis place, an impact fee of any sort.
Correct. Well, technically, we'd be doubling up on the cannabis because they'd also have to pay the impact fee for being in the commercial district.
Okay.
It sounds to me like it's a syntax. Not syntax sentence.
Well, I think that the thought from the council and others that, we've talked to since is that you know, this was voted on by the, oh God, what's coming?
You gotta take your mic.
Sorry.
You got it, thank you.
You know,
She's going to repeat everything now.
this was voted on by the residents. We have to try to figure out a way to implement this ordinance, or create an ordinance to implement. And that, if we're gonna allow this use in our city, that we want, somebody has, a track record of operating one of these facilities, and that also is gonna make an investment into our community. That it's different than just a tire store.
Is it different, how different is it than Global Beverages or a bar?
Well, I mean, that wasn't our charge, though.
No, I
Yeah.
didn't say it was your charge, but I'm talking about equity and fairness in terms of developers and whatever.
Yeah.
You know, we get a lot of shit from people who say that
Well,
we're,
okay.
that's a technical term. I used to be an
You just have to
environmental,
be careful of our language.
I used to be an environmental engineer, that's a technical term. In any event, where was I going with this?
It's kind of like,
Stay away from the technical terms.
Yeah.
you know, because what appears to be, to me, compared to other establishments, the inequity of this appears to me, I'm going to an extreme here, folks, but if somebody wanted to make a Supreme Court case out of this, they probably could, you know? Are we discriminating against this vendor, which, at least in this state, is a legal operation, and saying, well, yeah, but you're not like the other operations because you're selling cannabis versus selling alcohol or tires or whatever else we want to say.
You know, I mean, I got all kinds of remarks on the original, well, maybe not the original, but the latest one that we got for this meeting. And then all of a sudden, we get shoved a brand-new thing with all kinds of updates on the impact fee. And some of the stuff in the one we just got last week, specifically, Article 8, Article 8, this was never discussed, I don't believe, at any of the 4 meetings we've had, but that the applicant, whoever gets the application, gets the licenses, is gonna have to invest $500,000 in their store. What other business that we try to attract to Ellsworth, do we tell them they have to invest $500,000 and actually list out specifically security system, $50,000, $100,000. HVAC and odor control, $75,000 to $150,000. Are we requiring the transfer station to have $150,000 worth of odor control?
No, but I think,
And none of this was ever discussed in however many meetings we had with the council.
But doesn't it say that they have to either invest it or have the ability to invest? So that, it doesn't say they have to, it just says they have to have the ability. Is that what that means, the way that's,
Wouldn't that mean that they would have to have the 500,000 available?
the ability to show a bank, you know, says they could borrow if needed to renovate a property, to make it up to code and to meet the criteria, that they have the ability to do that. So we don't give them a license and then it turns out they only have $20,000, they can only put paint on.
But that same argument applies to almost any other land use as well.
It feels, I think what we're all, at least for myself and perhaps others, it feels discriminatory. You know, because this happens to be cannabis versus alcohol versus shoes versus.
I look at it differently in that, to me, I mean, I understand where you're coming from, but I'm looking at it that when you read a lot of our ordinances, which we are gonna be reviewing, a lot of them need to be brought up to a different standard, a more clear standard, a lot more criteria, just, you know, so that This is the new ordinance. This is what we're looking at. So if we keep this suppressed to what our old ones are like, this is the way our new ordinances should reflect this newer mindset, so that the city benefits and we make things that are to the higher standard. That's kind of how I look at it. This is the one.
I agree, it should be to
the
a higher standard
Yeah.
and so forth, and they should be up to date, and I'm with you there. But in terms of, the kind of money that you have to be ready to have available to you and/or spend is not like the others, even when they are brought up to date. We're not going to go through, we might go through and look at impact fees, which I think would be a good idea.
Yeah.
Okay, but they would be equity across the board, what is the real impact here, and so forth, and I think this personally goes above and beyond. I think it really does discriminate against certain land uses that just cause we can, which is.
Right. Do we have this for the medical marijuana ones? Is it
No.
50 to 100?
None of our ordinances have
75
any
to
of this
150?
stuff.
No, we,
Yeah. Well, there's the impact fee in the one spot.
Yeah.
the
Which is
medical
crazy.
marijuana stuff has very little it's in chapter 56, and there's very little in there compared to what we're asking for this.
And what we're asking for in terms of these numbers, what's the justification, assuming we go ahead, what's the justification for each one of these numbers? 3,000 for this, 5,000 for that. Where's the rationalization for that?
For the impact fee, that was to try to delineate how the money could be used. That would I think that was probably we were getting a little too granular on that, and to the point that the council made last night. They would like to see that be less, so that we would take that money and they would have the defined uses, but there wouldn't be necessarily how, a solid dollar figure on how it was split out. So
I think you got the other end of my question.
Okay.
My question was, how do we say that this aspect of things, whatever, is $3,000 versus another is $5,000 of impact versus another that's $6,000, and so on and so forth?
Oh, I think that's what, I don't know if I'm
Are you talking
misunderstanding.
about the investment portion, the things that are laid out that
No, I'm talking
says?
about the impact fees, and we say that.
Yeah.
On page 5.
Public
talking about the red
safety and
stuff.
public
No, I
safety and
get
law
that.
enforcement is $9,000. Well, how do we know? And public health and safety programs are $3,000, and et cetera, et cetera. I don't want to belabor the point, but how do we establish those numbers in some empirical way to justify them?
Well, the justification for the numbers came, as Robert described, based on 1% of the average gross sales. That's how the total
That's the gross
impact
total.
fee. And then I believe he just kind of broke them down based on some of those programs. But what we haven't updated, because we just did this last night at 7:00, that we haven't adjusted this, that it's just gonna be a $20,000 impact fee. No.
I
And
didn't want to adjust this again after we showed the council last night and then give you a different version than what they saw,
And
so I
those
left it the
imp-
same.
And those
Okay,
impact
just
fees.
talking about the public safety and law enforcement, seeing as that's my forte. I mean, who came up with those 6 items?
Those are
Those are-
the most commonly used things for impact fees for this sort of thing for cannabis.
So, can I ask a question? So, can you explain to me, this is, where did this go here? Adult use cannabis store or facility. Is this just a location where they can go and buy this stuff and take it home?
Correct.
Okay. Very good. Is this also a location where they can manufacture,
No.
cultivate?
No,
Okay,
this is
okay,
just
stop right there.
sale.
All right, so the impact fees that you're talking about here, on the back, on Article 8, item BI, have to do with cultivation, manufacture, and processing. It has nothing to do with use. Because when you start looking at odor control, and we start testing equipment and lab space, that That's, you're talking about a manufacturer and a cultivating facility, not just a store where you can go in and buy the stuff to use it. The place up on the hill was actually a place where they literally manufactured THCs and actually extracted material to sell there. I know that because I was in that place. They had specialized, hundreds of thousands of dollars of equipment to do that. Not only that, if I'm not mistaken, in the ordinance, there is a place in the ordinance that talks about odor control for these facilities. So we have an odor control portion in the ordinance for manufacturing, et cetera, et cetera. A use doesn't require these specialized pieces of equipment. Now, they may want to have security, I understand that, ADA compliance and whatever the fire department's going to require, but not specialized HVAC and lab equipment. I don't believe that's
The gentleman that
required.
talked to us, didn't he was a sale only and mentioned that they do test their product that's
They
coming
have to-
in.
they do
have to,
test
so they
it.
will need some kind of,
Can you just?
Well, but it doesn't require a large lab to do that.
it just says lab space, it doesn't say large lab.
But the issue is, they don't
Yeah.
necessarily need to
They
have
need
all
a-
this
They
other
need a
stuff.
space to run their equipment.
All right,
So-
all right.
Team.
Robert's trying to.
Yeah, so there's 9 things on that list. That doesn't mean that these are things that you can use that go towards that 500,000. It doesn't mean you have to have the lab testing space or the HVAC. That's just something that you could put in.
Okay.
And I think most of your 500,000 on that list would be in site prep and construction costs to build a new building. You could, I think you'd be hard pressed to build much of a building for under 500,000 these days.
But the point is that somebody might come in and say, hey, here's an existing building that's all set and
Absolutely.
ready to go. I own it, but you're gonna come in and build, sell weed. And, that capital cost is gonna be way lower than 500,000. But I wanted to ask another question too. How much, without naming names of developers, we recently charged a new development or we're negotiating some impact fees. How much were they roughly? Nearest thousand.
Yeah, 20 in the 20s.
So in the 20s. I assume that we have that we have charged other people in that area, in that triangle,
Correct.
development fees as well. What's the range on those? Do you have any idea?
Yeah, depending on the size.
Sure, of course.
So
Talk about Beckwith Hill?
Yes.
It all goes on how many new trips there.
No, I understand that. What I'm asking is, what's the magnitude of the fee?
It depends on how many new trips they get.
Yeah.
No, but we have charged them to somebody.
Yeah, so I mean,
We just charged somebody 20,000.
I don't believe this would come to the same scale that the recent person that we charged, or recent business that we charged would. I don't think there'd be anywhere near that many trips compared.
No. I'm just talking about the absolute, we charge them a development fee.
Correct.
20K.
20
You want
something.
to charge these guys a development fee, 20K. All I'm saying is that in terms of development fees, that's, it's in line with what we've charged other developers. That's my point.
But these are different fees.
I'm just looking at, this is really just a pay-to-play kind of thing.
But the $20,000 fee that you're talking about went towards building
Sure.
Myrick Street and Route 3 and Route 1.
But I'm asking, and these development fees are used for other things presumably.
Yeah.
So
But
the
but
statute,
that are attributable to,
There are
this
allowable
development.
uses for impact fees in state statute, whether it be transportation, parks, public safety, there's a whole, and that's where that list came from. And we just did research on what the other cannabis impact fees have been used for in other places, and that's
Right.
how we came up with
and how
that
much
list.
they have been in other
Yes,
places.
but we are pulling back from that list and having it be a flat fee that can be used for public safety, parks, schools, drug enforcement, things like that. It's not gonna be prescriptive to how much can be used for which item.
No, I get that. I mean, I get that. Okay.
And I think the reason behind the impact fees, the minimum dollar, we were moving away from a merit-based system, okay? And we were trying to bake into our application process per the workshop merit. So that's where those items come from. So if we have all, I think, agreed to start with 3 licenses for this type of use. So instead of doing the merit-based, doing the lottery system and having the application have criteria in it that people have to meet in order to get into the lottery. So, because if we were doing it merit-based, we probably would have a criteria of what's gonna be your investment in the facility. And we would score them based on that. Well, we're not doing that, so we have to have some sort of minimum to have people enter into the lottery. So that's where that came from.
But I think we might be facing a semantic issue here, at least in my pointy little head, and that is calling them impact fees. Some of the things that are on the list, numbers 1 through 4, I'm trying to figure out how the opening of a cannabis shop could impact these kinds of things. In other words, it's more like what you're talking about is a tax to benefit the community, not the impact of the business that you're establishing.
But that's what an impact fee is a tax to benefit, and these are lists right from the law of what impact fees can be used for, regardless of what use is generating the impact fee. So you could have a Chick-fil-A come in and say, we're gonna charge them an impact fee and use it on any one of these things. That has nothing to do with cannabis. It has to do with the legal statute that lists out what impact fees can be used for.
So if I come in and try to establish any kind of business, some donation or whatever to youth prevention and education initiatives?
The municipality gets to decide what the impact fee is going to be used for. That's my understanding, that we
Yeah.
get to decide what the impact fee is, what the highest and best use of the impact fee is going to be for.
But it still has to be related to the impact of the use. I mean, so for example.
It's in the statute, no.
Well, in Bar Harbor, for example, when they started charging impact fees for, how many people docked and so forth or whatever, those fees could only be used for parking and.
Well, I don't know, that might have been a different fee structure than impact fee.
That may be something they self-imposed.
What's that?
That may be something they self-imposed.
That could be.
I
thought it came down like, if you charge a fee for this, that fee can only be used once you collect it for those kinds of things.
I'm not familiar with their ordinance, unfortunately,
Yeah,
so.
I'm only talking about the legal guidance that we've gotten about the state law regarding impact fees.
But it has to be a demonstrable impact of this thing.
Well, let me ask you, in that same section, Article 8, Number 8, evidence that there are no taxes, fees, assessments, or utility bills due to the city by the applicant, including all persons or entities that are owners, officers, members, I don't know what a member would be, managers, or partners of the applicant. So basically, if somebody has a sewer or water lien, and they're a manager, I'm not sure what a member would be, but they're a manager of this facility, then I guess you can revoke their license?
If they're in arrears on their water bill, this says.
For an
that you
employee,
could
That may be overstretched. That may be over. I'd say.
See note 14 on my list?
Yes. I would probably make that owners only.
and we had, in the not-too-distant past, a city council member that constantly had tax liens.
We can change that to owner.
Just owner.
Well,
But does an owner of Hannaford, or does an owner of Friends and Family have the same penalty? If they're in.
Well, what I think the intent of this is that if the business itself it owes. I understand that the wording there wasn't perfect. That wasn't something that we reviewed
I like that it's
that was-
owners and partners, anybody who's financially culpable, I like that. But the manager is an employee and a member, what the heck is that? But again, isn't this like trying to bring this new ordinance up to a higher standard? It has nothing to do with what we do for Hannaford, because that's pre-existing old stuff. We're trying to make it better.
The problem, though, is that you're initiating this whole thing, you know,
On cannabis.
on cannabis, and,
Right.
and it's a,
But it's-
at minimum, to me, it's a bad optic. I mean, if this was just part of an overarching impact fee structure that we were doing citywide on any kind of development, you know, that's different.
To your point, Rick, I think that if we, if the city said, we're gonna review impact fees for all businesses and yada, 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 and that includes cannabis people, then that would make sense. But to have an impact fee for
And I've been a
cannabis
proponent
sales, it's
of
different for
impact
others.
fees for years, and the council is, no, it's gonna cost developers, businessmen too much money. They've never seized that opportunity to offset some of the costs that these developments have on schools, on police, on fire. I mean, sewer is about the only one that gets money from a development.
Okay, so if we were doing this on merit-based, because I think everyone can agree, and I understand this thought that this is discriminating against this use, but this use is different, okay? It's not federally legal. We are trying to learn from other municipalities that have 50, 60, 70 of these stores that are with very little regulation and performance standards and design standards that I think if could do it over again, would do it over again, to have more restrictive design standards. So we're trying to learn from that. And if we're not gonna do performance, merit-based, how would you suggest what would you have in an application to have the highest and best performers and best business practices be brought into this use? How would you select that? That's what, I mean.
Well, it's the same problem that is faced in any number of things, you know. How do you choose which kids get into your college? You know, and you know, because it's merit-based or performance-based. And it's a real problem to do that.
So how are we picking the kid that gets into this college?
Well.
Right.
When we're not doing it merit-based, because that does open us up to litigation, where our lottery with really strict application criteria does not.
Right.
That's the counsel we've received. So I'm hearing you, so what's the solution? That's.
Well, how many,
Well,
what
I-
percentage, do you have any rough idea of the towns in Maine do it on merit versus just a straight lottery?
We were advised by our legal counsel that the lottery was a much more legally safe way to do it.
And equitable.
Yeah, understandable.
Which is the important.
No, I didn't do any research. After that was the recommendation from legal, I didn't go into any research on how many towns do it
And our
merit-based.
counsel has recommended that.
But I mean, other things, I mean, not to get into all of it, but in Article 9, it says, this has to do with license expiration and renewal. If a local license for a location lapses, including, it has to come, if they want to reapply, it has to seek and obtain planning board approval, site plan approval. But I don't find anything prior to that.
Right.
That somebody applying for a license has to come to
Does
planning
it
board.
say, what number was
No,
it again?
planning board approval comes in about halfway through this.
Article 9 is,
Which number on
Article 9, page 6.
Yeah, what number?
Number 3.
Okay.
And it's also in Article 10,
But
paragraph 2.
but at the
No, no,
same.
paragraph 3.
At the same token, there are places in there where they talk about site plans being reviewed and approved. But they don't say who reviews and approves site plans. I mean,
Yeah.
there's a lot of stuff that's going on with this that needs to be fixed.
Yeah.
A lot of vague stuff. And, you know, the problem is, you know, kind of assessing some of these other issues in that context as well.
We definitely can tighten up the consistency of things like that, of like,
Yeah.
the site, approval, who's gonna approve it, and make it consistent through all the articles. But I'm still getting back to,
Sure.
you know, the meat of this is the application process versus, which allows you to enter into a lottery, versus the merit, which we've been advised to not proceed with merit-based. So we are putting merit criteria in the application, and that is what you're seeing.
And that merit criteria is to be able to enter the lottery, is that correct?
Yes, for 3 selections.
If there's more than 3 that.
Right, if there's
Yeah.
more than 3.
All right.
And I would highly anticipate more than 3.
Yeah.
Do you?
Oh, yeah.
They're
So-
just waiting for us to.
Yes.
They're with their little lighters and stuff, just ready to go.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So in Article 4, does the state issue licenses for different activities concerning cannabis use?
Yes.
Yes,
How do we know what they are?
they're manufacturing,
They say they're dying
cultivation.
statute.
So if they don't have, what will the state issue these folks?
There's a.
Because they have to go to the
Conditional
state
license.
for their license first.
Conditional license.
Recreational use.
And
Adult, yes, adult use.
so they just need to come with a use license, not a manufacturing. If
Correct.
they come with a manufacturing license,
That's the wrong
They're
type.
not allowed.
They can't.
We don't have that. We're not allowing
That's not
that.
permitted, it's not a
Okay.
permitted use.
Right.
And it's opt-in, so we can do that.
Right.
I would suggest, not necessarily the conclusion, but maybe we think about this in another vein, which is the RFP process. You know, the RFP says, you can submit a proposal, and these are the criteria it has to meet. And maybe for this application, your application has to say this, that, the other thing, and so on. And the selection criteria are done separately. Did you fulfill all the requirements of the RFP? And if you did, then, you know, we can, I'm now making things up, but we can find a way to evaluate them based on your successful, in terms of fulfilling the requirements of the RFP.
How is that not merit-based, though? You're still applying a
Because I'm-
score, and you're still applying, like, this group of people is gonna read, you know, let's just say it's us, we're gonna read those RFPs, and yes, some of them are gonna be checks, right? Like, yes, no, you did it, you did it, you did it. But then there's subjectivity in there about, you know, financial, capacity. Like, somebody might say they have financial capacity of 500, and some might say 5 million. And we're gonna, you know, pick one of them based on that. So it still has subjectivity that opens up us to risk and vulnerability.
But
It's
however you package it,
no
you're still,
different than
you're still
merit.
doing, you know, what you're saying is that, you know, what he's saying is, give us an RFP, and, you know, we'll evaluate it in some way.
Yeah, and.
Okay,
and-
but the thing is that, you know, what you want to say is that you are kind of pre-qualifying these people. You're looking at a proposal that they're making, and you're saying, this looks okay, we'll put them in the lottery. Is
We're
that
saying
correct?
we've established standards, and this
And they meet it.
applicant is committing that they're going to meet our standards.
So,
Therefore,
okay.
they can go in the lottery.
Okay, so my question really is, or, no, well, not really, but one of my questions is, what is the list of things that they have to
believe it's in-
do? Because I was a little confused.
I'd say it's under cost component analysis, and the fact that they have to invest at least $500,000.
But investing $500,000, maybe, or have the ability to do it, isn't much of a guarantee for anything, other than the fact the guy has a bunch of money.
So, well, it's all of Article 8. It's that they have to get their conditional license from the state before they can even apply for this. So
Right.
there are a lot of hurdles that they have to meet from the state side
Right,
of it.
and you need to, by the way, have a flow chart with all those hurdles, so it's actually understandable. Just saying, but that's to the side.
so they
Okay.
have to go into the state, pay for the license of the state, come back to us, show that they have ability to come up with after they've paid the state for the license, and if they don't come up with $500,000, they're out of the lottery? Is that?
Well, presumably, they would already be able to do the 500,000 before they'd even go to get the, if they read the ordinance, they'd say, well, we can't do that. So there's no point to even apply. I'm not saying that's the perfect answer to that question, but that's the reality of the situation.
500,000, you need to be able to say, you know, there's a reason why you have to be able to come up with 500,000. Right? And the answer is yes or no.
I mean, why does no other business that comes to Ellsworth have that requirement? I know marijuana's different, but.
Because, yeah, that's because.
But you wanna know something? I'd be willing to bet that 99% of police officers would rather deal with somebody who's stoned than drunk.
But that's not what we're regulating here. That's not what we're looking at. That's not what we're trying to protect our community against. We're trying to protect our community against people coming in that don't have solid business plans, make solid investments into our community, that run a cannabis store, and that just leave, that put up, you know, Bob's Cannabis Shack, and then abandon it. That's what we're trying to avoid.
Back to the RFP process, because I've participated in the evaluation of RFPs for a fair amount of my time in the real world. We sat down with our own set of criteria, you know, that went, and for instance, Bob's Cannabis Shop, you know, is that enough, you know, or does Bob's Cannabis Shop have to have, or do we expect it to equal Joe's Cannabis Shop, which is really a classy operation, you know? And Joe can say, we do this, we do that, we guard against illegal use and so on and so forth, where Bob says, hey, anybody comes in, you know, help yourself. I'm being silly, but there are ways of looking through the RFP process at what a company, let's just say, offers or doesn't offer.
Mm-hmm.
And then making the decision by some committee and saying that, oh, okay, this committee is looking for these kinds of things, and this business offers it, these businesses don't. And the one that offers it wins. The one that doesn't loses.
Under the state regulations cover the store's operations, how it's set up.
Yeah, yeah, they require security and all that stuff too. Hours of operation, that sort of thing.
And the state does inspections, and they must be coming in and look for.
Correct.
Something specific.
Yep, and so the city's also required to do an annual inspection.
What's that?
The city is also required to do an annual, for like the dispensaries.
I mean, it kind of seems like draw on what the state requires to set up the city requirements. It doesn't seem like you have to reinvent the wheel. And I know we're going to disagree, Sarah, but I think the council is going way overboard in how, and it's their prerogative, it's their prerogative.
You know what, John, I don't agree or disagree. This isn't my fight. I'm simply the voice for what the council has been saying. And that's it, like, and what the conversation has been, and so, I mean, if it were up to me, I wouldn't have any, but that's not what was voted on, so, I mean.
But I almost think that that's their goal. I mean, I think with what they've come up with in the first draft and now the second draft, they want to put up so many roadblocks that.
I think their goal is to have high-quality businesses running this operation. I think, and to your point about the RFP, we do RFPs every day for, you know, consultant services and different equipment and things like that. And I totally understand that you can set them up to evaluate them and have them, you know, with a committee and all that. But this is what our legal counsel is advising us to do, is to not do this. All of the businesses that we heard in the workshop said, do not do merit-based because you set yourself up.
But-
But that's
But-
all I'm just
but-
repeating.
But the merit list was pretty stupid, but that's beside the point. My question is, it's 8 o'clock, and I'm going to sundown soon. So
Yeah.
what exactly do you want out of us this evening? Or what are our options?
It's, tonight it was to give a recommendation to the council on what to do in a couple of weeks when they go to vote on it,
Yeah,
to
no.
pass it or not.
Okay, so is that gonna happen? Are we gonna vote on that?
So,
I'm sorry, excuse me. I'm sorry. I apologize. Good evening. My name's Zach Brandwine. You all were having a good discussion and I didn't want to interrupt. I'd like to offer just a brief public comment on the ordinance review and if that's all right with the board, and I can explain who I am and what I'm doing.
I
didn't get
it's
this.
scheduled for a public hearing, so I'll open it to a public hearing.
Thank you. I very much appreciate it. And as I said, my name's Zach Brandwine. I represent Curaleaf. As you may know, Curaleaf has a store at the corner of High and has been a medical cannabis retail operation in the city for over 10 years now. And what I wanted to comment on was an issue that I think I heard the deputy city manager raise briefly, which is we've submitted a proposal to Scott Lever, the council who's advising the city in this matter, about an addition to the ordinance that we think might be wise. So I heard it mentioned that the goal here is to limit the number of cannabis retail operations or locations in the city. The 3 adult use licenses that you would authorize under this ordinance, it would result in 5 retail locations, the 2 existing medical retail locations and the 3 additional adult use locations. And so the language that we have proposed to Scott Lever and we proposed to the planning board and the city council is to allow the medical operators in town who've been in town for quite a while and are well established and have relationships with the city to convert or to apply for convert their medical licenses to the adult use retail licenses, or to apply for an adult use license at the locations adjacent to where their medical retail operations are. And so that's the language we want to propose. That's with Scott Lever. I'm happy to answer any questions. I'm sure we'll be back before you talking about this language that we would advocate to be included in the ordinance, allowing the existing medical retail operations to convert to adult use. And I really appreciate your time tonight. I didn't mean to interrupt. I just wanted to, you were all headed to a conclusion there, and I just wanted to offer public comment very briefly, so thank you.
Thank you.
Close the hearing.
Don't close the hearing.
Oh, don't close the hearing, okay.
I'm Raymond Williams, 56 Hancock Street, Ellsworth, Maine. I don't think you are in any position tonight, is my first thing I'm going to say, to make a decision on this proposal, because this is nowhere near a final proposal. And what you should be, when you make a recommendation, one way or the other, you should have the whole final proposal before you. You have, this gentleman said a proposal that he is working with a city attorney, and the city attorney he mentioned, I haven't heard that guy's name, but have you, or is
Scott
he- is he with Reverend Winchell also?
He's
Okay,
the
all right.
gentleman we're working with.
It's all right, so you're in no position tonight to make a recommendation. That's my opinion, and whatever you want to do, you can do. But because at times, earlier meetings this spring and summer, I wasn't able to come, and I should have come, but I watched them, and there were some items that never got reached for discussion in these proposals. And the first section is, not section 4, prohibited activity, okay, section 6, licensing authorities. And that is a section that I think is very important, because reading it, it sort of implies that the city agency and person issuing the licenses, doing the processing, but also issuing the final license, will be the city clerk and not the city council. I feel very strongly that the city council should be the ultimate licensing authority I know there are people in city government that want to get the city council out of doing licensing, just from remarks that I have heard, and it's not code enforcement and it's not planning. And I don't really think that it's any city council members, but I know there are people that have that view. And I think that this whole Article 6 has got to be revised to make it clear that the licensing authority and the person granting the license is the city council. Also, could I ask you, in the draft that you have received, the latest draft that you've received, how many pages of definitions do you have?
I think it's just one. First page.
One and a half.
One
and a half.
Oh, yeah, 1.5,
Go- go-
almost 2.
So you have one on, you have, okay, because when I got a copy, I didn't have the second page, and I wondered what was missing.
Well, we didn't
And-
have the 2 drafts are different. They've added other definitions to the second draft that we just got tonight too, Raymond.
Okay, but did you have a draft that there was some second page of definitions were missing earlier?
I mean, the first draft just had not even a page of definition.
Half a page.
The second draft,
Yeah, I'm not
somebody
sure what
added-
happened, there was a printer error, he got the same thing you did, but the definitions, I don't know why
That was the-
they were missing.
Yeah, there's twice as many definitions now
Yeah.
as there were.
And in an original draft that came out before your workshop in July, it had both of them, but what came out and I got last week didn't have the second page. It somehow got deleted.
It stops at C.
And
Yeah, I'm not
basically,
sure where that came, why
That
that
has
happened.
a definition in there of local licensing authority. I think that definition should be changed from, it says this shall mean the city clerk or the city council. And I think it should just mean the local licensing authority is the city council, and that the city council ultimately grants after you go through the lottery procedure. That, and whoever comes out of that the city council grants the license after there's also been a public hearing on each of those proposed licenses too. The original draft, if you will look at it, of Article 6 on licensing authority, sort of talks about, and I know what I think was that the procedure for doing the lottery would be run by the city clerk, which that probably is fine, but it wasn't clear who was granting the licenses, and it looked to me that the licenses ultimately would be granted by the city clerk, because then it had an option for a public hearing in here, but I went through it and I couldn't exactly figure it out what they were talking about. Says that a public hearing on an application for an adult use cannabis store license shall be scheduled after a local license has been awarded. And I think Robert pointed out to me that was probably after the lottery was over, but it wasn't clear to me what was going on there. It sounded that one reading of that could be taken that the city clerk could decide to have a local license, but wasn't necessarily required to have one, and a hearing. And I think a hearing is necessary. Also, this Article 6 has to be drafted so that it's clear that city council is licensing authority. And I won't get any further into that, but that Article 6 is one of the things that I noticed at the various hearings and workshops in the past, no one's ever gotten to discuss what Article 6 says, and I think it's important. Also, a second thing which I just more or less come up today looking at things and then listening to some of the comments that have been made tonight by members of the planning board. And it's mentioned in here, site plan approval and the like, is the way the overlay that is in here. And that's the thing one of the things that I think that really gets it to you, because the overlay is an amendment to the zoning map. And in the zoning ordinance in your chapter 56, is there things in there that would require your approval of site plan for any of these objects? Is this a major use or a minor use or whatever kind of uses you have? Is there anything in there that would require planning board approval of site plans?
I don't believe so.
Well,
I think staff determines if it's a major or minor use, and then a major use would automatically go to planning board.
Okay.
So, yeah, so a minor use goes through the code office.
Okay.
There
Well,
are triggers for that.
I think maybe that these marijuana proposals, especially with the amount of money if certain people want to have spent on them, I think they should be subject to major use approval, site plan approval by the planning board, and that whatever needs to be amended, whether it's in this cannabis ordinance or whether it's an amendment to chapter 56, that has got to be made.
Even if it's a minor use, that you can still ask for it to go through planning.
Correct,
board.
I could, due to
Whatever.
some certain circumstances that I deem appropriate, I could still send those to planning board.
So you could probably make that happen.
Correct.
Without a major change of anything.
But the thing is, you would have to have some performance standards for us to rule on that application. I mean, and there's no performance standards for a recreational marijuana store. So, I mean, I think if you, yes, you could send it to the planning board, but it's like, okay, do you then, you know, you deal with stormwater, you deal with traffic on a building that's already built and somebody's using just, you know, let's say Dysarts is gonna put in, you know, that commercial space. Let's say they go in there, I mean, you know, if a bookstore went in there, that wouldn't come to planning board. I mean, but if recreational marijuana, you said, okay, it's gotta come to planning board, there's gotta be some rules and regulations, some performance standards that we
Well, the only
determine
thing,
if they meet the standard.
the only thing the planning board could act on is the things that the planning board normally acts on, like things like setbacks and whatever, you know, circulation and traffic and like that. But there's nothing that's peculiar to, or specific to marijuana usage, building, whatever.
So it would just be the uses of the site as a general business, not because it's particularly.
Pretty much. I mean, as it stands now.
Yeah.
Unless in this ordinance, you put in more things that you could objectively review.
And I'm suggesting that maybe you want to consider that either in, and that some of these things could be the items that are in Article 8 now, and which could be utilized for that, to develop, to have for site plan consideration and for uses.
Yeah, I
So-
mean, there could be in this ordinance, and in this new guy, a bunch of lists. I mean, for example, a silly one, I thought, but who knows, about opaque windows, okay? So, I mean, that's a measurable thing. Are the windows opaque or not, you know? And the planning board could have that in their list of things that they look at
Yeah.
for this particular use.
And wouldn't in most cases, if somebody had a bookstore before and they're gonna turn it into a adult use facility, that would generate a lot more foot traffic and vehicle traffic, and so the bookstore may have only had 6 parking spaces allotted for it in that use, so that would be a higher use, and that would click off for you the ability to make it a major.
Correct. That would be up to my determination
Right.
of what would require a higher level of review.
Can we finish his public comment so we can kind of think about next steps?
Yep.
So,
For-
okay, I think I'm about done. The other thing, I'm not gonna comment on your, what are those damn things called, user fees or
Impact fees?
impact fees. Whatever you wanna do on that, you can. I think, I said I wasn't gonna comment, but I've had this discussion with Robert too, that I'm getting to now. I think the license fees for this, and I know that the license fee for down on Main Street is $1,000. What's Curaleaf's license fee?
$1,000.
$1,000.
I believe, yes.
Okay. I think basically, the way this is set up, which I think to have the lottery first, and then issue out licenses to whoever comes out of the lottery and gets drawn out of the lottery. I think should have a two-tier fee. You should have a basic fee to enter the lottery, which, and I have talked to Robin, and I talked about some high ones, but now I'm thinking maybe fee to enter the lottery should be probably $1,000 fee would be fair. Because there isn't, well, because to even get into the lottery, someone's going to have to do a heck of a lot of work, but $1,000 fee. But ultimately, once the lottery is held and and I'm not sure you really want to consider, 1, 2, or 3. I think 3 is the max, but I think maybe if you just want to sort of 1 or 2, because you're still going to have the two medical ones anyway. Those aren't going away, and they shouldn't, and people who run them, they shouldn't go away. It's, they're here. I'm not completely sure that what this gentleman wants to do is what should be done, because in particular as to the one on Main Street isn't in the area that
Correct.
Hopefully Main Street is not going to be zoned for these things. I agree with what the proposal is completely. The Shaw's Mall area and then the commercial
If you change the
zone.
zoning, it's still grandfathered in.
Yes, no, but, yeah.
It's existing non-conforming use.
Okay. And then I think there should be for when the ultimate license is issued, because it's going to require, a public hearing and whatever, that there should be an additional fee from those people, and substantially more than another $1,000 fee, or just $1,000 fee. And I think then, I don't know whether that's in your guys' bailiwick, or whether it's in the council's bailiwick, but
No one knows,
in
Ray.
both of one, well, that's the thing here. So I basically think that, let me see, I don't think there's probably other things that I should, but I just basically, as I said earlier, in some of the earlier
Raymond, you're
periods,
done?
I don't
Wrap it
think
up.
these issues have been covered the way they should have been, and I think you're not in a position to make a decision. Well, you can do whatever you want, and I don't think you're in a position to make a decision tonight. I don't think the city council is in a position to make a decision, and I don't think they're going to be in September at their council meeting, which is only 12 days away from now.
Thank you, Ray.
Thank you.
Zach, I'll give you 1 minute. And then I'm closing out the public hearing.
He doesn't want any.
I have nothing
No, Zach.
further. Appreciate the board's time this evening.
Okay,
Okay,
Thank you.
I'll close the public hearing.
There you go. Thank you.
so it doesn't feel as though collectively, sorry, that,
Okay, if you don't want to play with us.
I
it's
do,
okay.
but I don't have a nameplate up there.
Yours
You
is
can
down
have
there.
mine.
It doesn't feel like we're heading in the direction that there would be a recommendation from the planning board
That's
this
correct.
evening to go to council
I
on
think
this
that's safe.
ordinance, okay? So what does that mean then? So what do we need to do to get there? Because it's difficult when staff is hearing direction from city council and then direction from planning board that's different, and we're trying to marry that together. It's difficult for us to, and we only get so far in a workshop, a joint session. So, we could have you all, we could email, I believe this is okay, but correct me if I'm wrong, we could give you the most recent draft. You could mark it up, give comments. Rick, you gave comments, correct?
I did.
I value these,
Cool.
I
Right?
value this greatly. I'm gonna take it home and read
We
it.
could compile that, take it back to council, review it with council, and come back with another draft. And kind of, I guess, find out what the non-negotiables are for council, that they really are not, they wanna move forward with, so that you all know that too. And then bring it back in October.
But the bottom line is that, though, one possible outcome as a bottom line is that we say, oh, 5-1, we reject this. And you send it to council, and council can do with it whatever the hell they want. I mean,
They
we don't
could.
have to agree necessarily.
But I think the
we'd
intent
like
and the
to.
spirit of how this whole process has gone is that, and I even think at the workshop last night, there was understanding that there were some changes that were made at the 11th hour, so there might be some discomfort in making a recommendation to council based on those changes. So I think that's anticipated that they're not gonna be voting on this in September. So what I would like to do is compile your information, take it to the September meeting to discuss it, and get feedback from them on your concerns, and then come back in October with a new draft.
Sarah, I have a question.
Yeah.
What is the impact of not having this ready? Because I know everybody was gearing up for that September, because that's when we were supposed to have it ready.
Robert can talk
What
about
does
that.
it do to the process?
To the overall
legally?
timeline or just for the next meeting?
I mean, I know they were aiming for it, but legally, is there like a reason we had to have this done in September?
No, it's just, it was to keep the timeline moving on all this. So a September approval basically lets us use January 1st as a timeline for the submittal.
Okay.
For you, because where the Office of Cannabis Policy requires, or they can take up to 90 days to give that conditional license. We need to at least give that long, if not a little longer, so people can get their submissions to OCP.
Okay.
But there's nothing required since it was voted in November, there's
No.
nothing that
Right,
requires.
I don't want to be like,
Other
we
than
don't have an
September-
ordinance, and therefore they can do
Right.
whatever they want.
Right.
But-
September
No, it's
was the
still
goal
not in.
we shot for 6 months ago.
Okay, all right.
So if we miss it by a month,
But the other thing that's occurring in the backdrop, and I don't know what impact this has, is there's an election in November, and you're gonna have 3 different council members as of the first week of November.
Hopefully we'll have it
But we
voted
could
on by
have
then.
it done by October.
I'm just saying,
Yeah.
if you
No, that
put
is
it off
something.
at all,
Yep.
and then
You
you
know,
have three,
that's-
then you have
that's one
3
of the
new
things that
opinions
So
happens.
is
as
that
well.
a
but,
reasonable
yeah.
approach, though, that you all can send Robert your comments? We will compile the themes and take those themes to council, get feedback from council, and incorporate them into another draft and bring that in October.
sure,
think
so
that makes great sense.
Okay.
we're submitting those comments individually.
I think we have to.
No, I'm just-
Yeah, and please don't copy each other on it, and all that, because
That creates
it
quorums.
creates an issue. So just please send them
Virtual
to
quorums.
Robert individually.
Now, can we,
And copy me.
And I asked
Sure,
too,
it's legal.
that the redraft gets to us not the night of the meeting.
I wish it had as well.
We tried.
Before
Yeah,
that.
because I have like 30 notes that I'm like, what is this, what is
Yeah.
that? And it would take an hour to do just that, so I like that idea.
Please.
So yes, and we will respect that request. We'll apologize for the timing of this one
is,
with the
is,
workshop.
now, let me just ask then, is this one we got tonight, is that the one that you really want us to comment on?
No.
Or is there something else out there?
No, I
in-
haven't made any edits to this since yesterday.
One that has the impact fee in it, I mean, I guess we probably need to update the impact fee because it's not gonna be structured like that. So we will give you an updated one because we also have the lawyer.
I really enjoyed spending 4 or 5 hours today doing this.
Yeah.
He,
Well,
So,
And I'm
Your work
sure
is
you
almost
enjoyed it.
done.
You can-
Or you can get it to us
so
digitally.
he's trying to get to me.
Yes, we can email it to everybody,
Either in
blind copy.
Word or.
Yeah.
All right, so,
But we don't email to each
Okay.
other.
so to wrap this up, I make a motion, we table the cannabis review ordinance, the council recommendation, and people, once we get the final draft, then, or submit comments to Rob, and then we'll meet again.
And Brittany wants to be CC'd on
Can I-
that?
Yeah, I think
this
you have,
draft,
it
is
has
that
to
correct?
go through me.
No, we're gonna send
The
you
one
a
with
new
the
draft. We are going to
They're gonna
send
get a
you,
new draft.
we are going to
That's what I'm
send
saying.
a fresh, clean draft.
Gotcha,
We
okay.
need your comments, though, by close of business on the 10th. Which is
And
a
that'll say
week.
that in the
Okay, but
email.
we're making the comments on what we got tonight?
A new draft that we
I
will
will-
send you.
We will
We
send
will
you
send
out
you
an
a new
email.
draft.
We'll send you out an email on Monday with the fresh draft for you to review. Please reply to me and Robert or send us a new email with your comments.
We can,
from
we
that
can
draft.
blind VCC everyone and well, but I will just say, the new draft isn't gonna be much different than this one, so you can go ahead and start commenting on this one for some of your things about like the, manager. It's just the impact fees. That's the only section that's gonna change.
Yeah, the only significant changes potentially will be the impact fee section.
That's it. So I would start commenting or developing your comments, but we will send you an updated
I
one.
lost the council meets again.
So,
But you're getting them before that's the point
He's
for the
teasing.
10th.
I'll put my foot down, and there will be no more significant changes other than whatever the lawyer.
so
gets
you
back
made a
on the
motion
impact.
to table it, and we'll do what they said, and then I'll second that.
All in favor?
I'll third it.
If you got any staff comments, make them quick.
No.
No, we'll table those for next month. too.
Yes, those are table two.
Okay.
I need a, yeah.
Okay.
Motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Brittany?